Welcome, everyone. This is your friend, the DN What If, here with another exciting fanfiction. Today, we're diving into the story of What If Deku Became an Anarchist? If you enjoy this video, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more fanfiction content just like this. Now, let's get started with the fanfic. 3 years ago, there was once a quirkless green-hair boy named Izuku Midoriya who lived in a world of quirks, but he was one of the few who didn't have a quirk. He bullied and looked down upon by others. He had no friends because of his quirklessness, and his father left him and his mom at age 4 because of it. One day, his main tormentor Bakugo was going to give him his usual abuse, which Izuku snapped and fought back against Bakugo. Izuku was at a disadvantage because Bakugo had 2 other henchmen with them and he was quirkless. After a cruel beating they left Izuku. Izuku got up in pain, he though himself, Kaken is abusive as ever. If those 2 weren't there I could have won. I need to learn how to fight. Then a few days later, he found an underground fighting ring and decided to learn to fight from people who actually knew how to fight. A few weeks later he met an old man who used to be a famous boxer and learned from him how to box, and Izuku loved to box. He would come home tired and hungry, but he was happy because he was getting stronger. When Bakugo and his goons were going to attack Izuku like they normally do, Izuku broke their bones and Bakugo was left with broken hands. The police put Izuku in jail for a week, which after Izuku got out he went back to the fighting ring for a good time. A year later, he was known as the quirkless wonder in the ring because of his skill, and he has won matches and lost some but had more wins than losses. He was chaotic in and out of the ring. With his winnings he bought weapons for protection and beat some petty criminals up. He was known as the Anarchist. One day he met a man with a bird mask, which Izuku said, "Hello there, mister." The man said, "Overhaul, I like the way you fight. Tell me, what is your quirk?" Izuku said, "I don't care if you believe me, but I'm quirkless." Overhaul's eyes widen. "You're quirkless? Well, I didn't expect that. Anyways, how about you work for me?" Izuku raised an eyebrow. "What kind of work? Quirk analysis? Muscle? Weapons?" Izuku handed Overhaul a notebook full of the quirks of pro heroes, villains, vigilantes, and the other fighters in the ring. Overhaul was in awe and said, "I would like all of your skills." Izuku smiled. "I'll work for you, but I have some conditions." Overhaul looked at him. "What are these conditions?" Izuku said, "I have free control over what I do. I'm not forced to kill, but you can use the notes to kill. And lastly, I would like an apartment nearby so transport could be easier." Overhaul responded, "Deal." Overhaul thought to himself, "I like his skills in fighting and quirk analysis. He is going to lead me to success." But what Overhaul didn't know was Izuku was going to make him and a few other underground bosses very successful. Present day. Izuku, age 15, walked into the ring to face his next opponent, which Izuku looked at the blonde hair and Tintin-looking face dude into his eyes. Izuku went to attack, but his attacks went through him. Then he saw him go through the ground and come back up, which Izuku recognized him and yelled, "Get out of here, everyone. It's Lemillion, and he most likely has police outside about to break in." Everyone looked at Lemillion and realized Izuku was right. Izuku yelled, "Ki, get me the F out of here." Kai, Overhaul, went up to the cage to make spikes to keep Lemillion busy and get Izuku out of the cage. Then everyone got out of the building. The police and a few heroes were outside waiting for them, which Izuku got his wooden baseball bat, taser baton, stun grenades, and smoke grenades to help get the 2 out of there. When they were in the clear they walked over to the base, which Izuku said, "That was a close one." Kai said, "Tell me about it. If you didn't recognize Lemillion, I don't think we would be here." Izuku said, "That is what you pay me for, Kai. That, figuring out enemy quirks, and taking care of Eri." Kai laughed. "If it wasn't for you, Eri wouldn't be able to control her quirk and we wouldn't have made our quirk erasing bullets faster than predicted." Izuku chuckled. "I really think we should give the League of Villains a chance. I already met their leader and guy behind them, all for one." Kai stopped in his traces. "Wait, you met the immortal villain?" Izuku said, "Every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, we play chess and do quirk analysis together. I also discuss politics with him, very interesting guy." Kai asked, "You think we should ally with them?" Izuku said, "Yeah, but between you and me, Tamura, the leader of the league, give him a chance to explain. He may be childish, but he is intelligent and learns quickly. Kai nodded and Izuku looked at his watch. Well, speaking of the devil, I about to get warped to all for one in about 10 seconds. A purple mist appears and a purple mist man in a bartender suit appeared, which Izuku said, "Hello Kurojiri, how has it been?" Kurojiri replied, "Not much, sensei wanted to see you." Izuku smiled and said, "Well Kai, I better get going. Tell Eri I said hi." Izuku jumped in the portal to appear in All for One's lair, which Izuku said, "Hello All for One, how have you been feeling?" All for One chuckled in his chair. "I'm still stuck on this chair and can only move for about 3 hours a day. But seeing you and your bag of tricks, I graceful you are here." Izuku pulled out one of his notebooks and said, "So I found a few quirks you might be interested in with names and locations of the owners." Then Izuku sat in his chair and All for One said, "You always pull through Izuku, I am more impressed each time I open your notebooks." Izuku said, "Thanks Dad." The room was quiet which Izuku was scared. "Fo, All for One asked, "Did you call me Dad?" Izuku got up to bow. "I'm sorry sensei that I have offended you, please don't turn me into a Nomu." Fo confused, "I'm not going to turn you into a Nomu. But you really see me as a father figure?" Izuku said, "You see, my dad left me and my mom when I was 4, when I learned I was quirkless. So, I didn't have a father figure in my life, but the way you support me and help me. I do see you as a father figure." Defo chuckled, "I guess between you and me, you can call me Dad in this room." Izuku looked up and said, "Okay Dad." Defo chuckled, "So son, is the wound that All Might has still there the last time you checked?" Izuku said, "Yeep, it's still there." 1 year ago. Izuku was walking around collecting information on quirks for his boss Kai and a few other people. A slime man attacked him and thought he was a good meat suit until he blew off of him. Izuku woke up to find All Might has saved him. Izuku quickly got up to check his notebook had All Might's signature. Izuku was about to ask All Might his lifelong question, but All Might was about to jump until Izuku grabbed his leg and flew into the sky. All Might landed and Izuku saw All Might's weakened form. Izuku saw it and All Might explained his injury. Izuku asked him, "All Might, can a quirkless nobody like me be a hero?" All Might looked at Izuku and said, "No, hero work is too dangerous for quirkless people. You can be a policeman." Izuku walked off as All Might said those words. Izuku ran home and slammed the door. Izuku went to pick up the books that fell off the shelf and found his D&D book opened to the chaotic neutral alignment. After reading what a chaotic neutral person would be, he said, "I know what I should be, a life of freedom, and I can continue what I love to do. But I should probably live in that apartment Overhaul gave me." That is when he ran away and he fully left himself live a life of crime, fun, and freedom. Present. Izuku has been watching All Might in his civilian form and saw who his potential successors were and gave AFO the information on them, but Izuku wants something in return. AFO smiled, "You still want a Nomu or something else?" Izuku said, "I would love information on my father's whereabouts." AFO pulled out a file. "What are you going to do when you find him?" Izuku smiled, "I going to beat his but until he learns his mistake." Then they played chess and discussed the politics of today's world. Then Izuku said, "Well, I guess I should go do my other things. Well, don't push yourself too hard." AFO laughed and Izuku was warped to his apartment. His apartment was brick walls, wooden floors, a living room, 2-bedroom, kitchen, 1 restroom, and room where he stores his weapons. Izuku said, "Okay, I'm going to take an hour-long break, then I'm heading out to bash some skulls and talk to the smugglers and slavers." Later that night, he went to Hosu to meet his favorite nighttime customers, the slavers and smugglers. They rely on people like Izuku to price people by the quirks and their usefulness, which Izuku is known in the underworld as the best person to go to for quirk analysis. Izuku went to a meat market to go to the counter to say, "Hi, I'm looking for a New York ribeye, extra thick." The clerk took him to the back to a secret elevator which sent him down to the secret storage and auction of the slaves. A fat man looked and said, "Anarchist, it's great to see you." Izuku smiled, "Mr. Gates, you don't have to call me that. You give me money to give you a value for these slaves, just call me Izuku." Mr. Gates chuckled, Okay Zuku, so I brought a new batch tonight, but I don't know about this child right here. Mr. Gates pointed at a child in one of the cages, which Izuku asked, what is his problem? Mr. Gates said, he wouldn't reveal his quirk, so I was hoping you would help us. Izuku went over to the kid and said, well kid, if I were you, I would reveal you quirk now before I force you to reveal it. The kid looked at him, how can you force people to reveal a quirk? Izuku said, easy. Izuku grabbed and squeezed a certain part of the kid's neck to make him shoot out some black tentacles which stabbed into a guard and force his quirk to activate. Izuku said, his quirk is force quirk activation and I want to buy him. Mr. Gates surprised, I thought you don't buy slaves or support it? Izuku said, you right, but I like this kid and his quirk. I will price him around 1 million yen. I buy him from you for 1,500,000. Mr. Gates smiled. After the paperwork and other stuff, Izuku now owned the boy, which Izuku asked him, what is your name? The boy said, Th. Izuku said, Gon, I'm about to feed you until your hunger is satisfied, and you will be a student of mine. Izuku took Gon to his apartment to feed him and put him in his other bedroom. Izuku then said, I'm going to be gone for a little bit, but I will be back in a little bit. Gon fell asleep and Izuku went out to beat up some thugs because it was his entertainment. Izuku found some thugs surrounding a teen girl and what looks like her father, which Izuku pulled out his baseball bat and taser baton to get them from behind. Izuku went behind the leader to tap his shoulder. The leader turns around for his face to meet a baseball bat to the face. The rest of the thugs turned around and one of them said, guys, it's the Anarchist. The thugs looked at him and saw that he was the guy, which Izuku said, okay here you little cum stains, you can turn around or all hell will break loose. The thugs ran off leaving Izuku, the teen and her father, which the father said, thank you mister. Izuku said, oh sorry, I'm the Anarchist, nice to meet you. Izuku shook the father's hand, which the teen asked, why did you help us? Izuku said, because I beat up thugs for my entertainment. The father and teenager looked at him like Izuku was crazy. Izuku asked, are you too lost? I can give you direction Mr. and Miss. The father said, oh, how rude of me, I'm David Shield and this is my daughter Melissa. We are lost. Do you know directions to a person known here as Yagi T? Then a blonde muscled man landed next to them and said, Dave, I am here. Izuku in sarcasm said, oh look, He-Man showed up late to save these people and I, a quirkless nobody who you say can't be a hero, saved them like a hero. Well, I'm off to a baseball game. David's surprise. What? All Might said, young Midoriya, let me explain. Izuku turned around and walked away backwards with both his middle fingers in the air and said, hey, I an idea. Why don't you just take that symbol of peace bullshit and shove it really far up your but then clench your butt cheeks? All Might said, young Midoriya language. Melissa asked, Uncle Might, do you know him? Izuku said, yeah, he knows me. He destroyed my dream. But those dreams needed to be destroyed anyways. All Might said, young Midoriya, I need to talk to you. Izuku texted Kurogyari to open a warp gate from his location to his apartment, which when Kurogyari opened it, Izuku looked at All Might to say, oh, All for one said, hi. Izuku jumped in the portal leaving All Might falling to his knees yelling, and oh. Izuku was back at his apartment and said, I had enough fun for one day, I guess I'm going to sleep. Tomorrow I have tea with Gentle, video games with Tamura, take Eri to the playground, and help Jiren selling weapons to villains and vigilantes. Izuku got in his PJs and fell fast asleep ready for tomorrow. Izuku got up and said, it's Saturday, thank God. Izuku made him and Gon breakfast which Gon asked, what are we going to do? Izuku interrupted Gon, don't call me Emistu, call me Izuku or Nii-san. Gon asked again, what are we doing today Izuku? Izuku said, well today you are going to learn what I do and you are going to get into the business. Gon asked, business? Izuku said, of being a bad guy but not evil, like good villain or bad vigilante or something like that. Gon asked, am I going to kill people? Izuku looked at him, no, I don't kill people on purpose. Gon scared which Izuku said, but you're not killing people, we are going to get you an outfit and some clothes. Then I'm going to have a meeting with a extremely nice gentleman, then hang out with a buddy, and you will have a play day with my goddaughter. Gon was happy about that, which after they ate, they head out to their busy day. They went to a tailor shop that Izuku is a common customer to get Gon's size and clothes. Gon's outfit was like Izuku's outfit, which was a black leather trench coat with a green dress shirt with a red tie and black jeans. The difference was Gon had a white dress shirt and a black tie to match his hair, which Izuku paid 11,141,450 yen for it. They left to head to a coffee and tea shop, which Izuku saw his guy and said, "Hey Denjiro, lovely day we are having." Denjiro, gentle criminal, smiled. "Nice to see you Izuku, I see you brought someone with you." Izuku chuckled. "This is Gon, he is my student and will get into my business to help me out." Izuku looked at the girl next to him. "Lovely to see you too, Manami." Manami was happy to see Izuku, which she said, "It's very nice to see you. You are the very few nice people that are villains like us." Izuku laughed. "Ah, you're funny as usual. How is the internet treating you too?" Denjiro said, "It's okay." Izuku said, "Hey, if you two still want, we can rob a bank together. The offer is still on the table. A good bank robbery is a good way to really catch attention, and I heard there is going to be special jewelry there." The two looked at him, which Denjiro spoke. "We'll think about it. How are you doing with your many jobs?" Izuku said, "Amazing, I have some quirk erasing drags if you two want some, and the new League of Villains is about to move to do their first appearance." They talked for a while until Gon said, "Izuku, your meeting with Tamura is coming up soon." Izuku got up to say, "Well, I better get going. I wish you two luck in becoming famous. Also, that offer is still on the table. Remember, it doesn't involve hurting people or killing, just a simple grab and go." Denjiro said, "That is very appealing, we might consider the offer." Kurogyri opened a portal for Gon and Izuku to walk into, which Izuku asked, "Kurogyri, can you watch Gon for me?" Kurogyri nodded and Izuku went to Tamura's room to play video games with. The only people who actually have gone into Tamura's room without pissing him off are Izuku, AFO, and Kurogyri. When Izuku got in, he said, "Tamura, you're looking like you're having fun." Tamura said, "Izuku, hurry, help me, I'm about to enter the boss room." Izuku got on his laptop to game with Tamura. Izuku played as a sorcerer and Tamura was a normal swordsman. Izuku would use his spells to attack, heal, and boost Tamura, while Tamura did the attacking and defending Izuku. After they defeated the boss, Izuku said, "Tamura, your plan of attacking UA is genius. Even if you don't kill All Might, you still win." Tamura stopped what he was doing to ask, "What do you mean?" Izuku said, "Think about it and bear with me here. You bring a group of villains to one of the most secure locations on the planet without triggering the alarms, that will ruin UA's reputation. If I don't know, All Might wasn't there, and you injure the teachers and students who are there, that ruins not only UA but also All Might's reputation because he was supposed to be there to protect his students from injury. And if your Nomu doesn't kill All Might and you and Kurogyri escape, then All Might failed to capture the villains who broke into the UA and injure his students, which leads people to lose their trust in All Might, UA, the teachers, and the students who are there." Tamura's eyes were wide open. "I never saw it like that. Thank you, Izuku. You really opened my eyes on this one. I should start looking at situations like you." Izuku said, "We're friends, we help each other and support each other. Just like our teamwork in the boss fight, you have higher attack, but I can boost you and heal you to help us win the fight. I also grow with you as well from the battle." The two continued, which no one knows that AFO has a camera in Tamura's room, which he grew a smile that Tamura's growth has accelerated since him and Izuku have interacted with each other. Izuku has said that Tamura is smart and is a quick learner, which this interaction is proof. After a while, Izuku had to leave for Aries' play day, which he gave Tamura the quirks and weakness of the teachers and students. "Okay Tamura, here is everything you need to know about the people you're going to meet. Remember, if you fail to kill All Might, you still won at the end of the day." Tamura smiled. "I will. Thank you, Izuku." Kurogyri dropped a glass cup when he heard Tamura say those words. That is what Kurogyri loved about Izuku. Izuku is helping Tamura act like an adult, and it really helps Kurogyri a lot, which Kurogyri and AFO will do anything to help Izuku if he was in danger. Izuku was warped to Kai's place and he saw Eri with Hari, chronostasis, which Izuku said, "Hey Hari." Hari said, "Hey Izuku, you look busy." The two laughed and Izuku said, "I don't want to be bored and I love being busy." Eri jumped to Izuku and cheerfully said, "Uncle Izuku." Izuku hugged her. "Hello Eri, how you are doing?" Eri said, "Guess what?" Izuku asked, "What?" Eri said, "Yesterday, they found another way to make quirk erasing stuff yesterday." Izuku surprised, "Really?" Hari said, "Yeah, we found out last night and we were going to tell you later." Izuku said, "That's great and I assume it's faster." Hari nodded and Izuku said, "Well, I better be off to take her to the park." The park. Gon was meeting Eri's friends and Izuku was watching them. He brought plenty of snacks for the two and himself. Izuku was relaxing and enjoying the weather until he heard, "You." He looked up to see Lemillion coming to him in his civilian outfit, which Izuku sighed, "Mirio, I just watching my little brother and goddaughter. Why are you here off duty?" Mirio said, "You can't just call me by my name, Anarchist." Izuku said, "Then call me by real name which is Izuku and come on your off-duty sit down." Mirio sat down next to Izuku and asked, "Izuku, why are you working for Overhaul?" Izuku raised an eyebrow, "Kai? Well, he's good friend, boss, and is the first person in my life didn't discriminate me for being quirkless." Mirio's eyes were wide. "You're quirkless?" Izuku chuckled, "Yeep, and that is the face that everyone makes when I tell them that. But I am proud to be quirkless." Mirio laid back into his seat which Izuku asked, "Is the reason you are relaxed now because you think a quirkless nobody like me can't hurt you?" Mirio jolted, I just don't think you're the guy to beat up an off-duty hero who hasn't attacked you in front of the kids." Izuku smirked, "Smart? I like that. I want to see that in All Might's successor." Mirio wasn't feeling relaxed around Izuku at all. "What do you mean?" Izuku said, "I know about One for All. The only people besides Sir Dickhead and Muscleman are the creator of the quirk All for One, Little Ol Me, All for One's prodigy, and my good friend Kai." Mirio asked, "Why are you saying this out loud for people to hear?" Izuku said, "Because I don't give a f dash dot." A lady nearby said, "Sir Language, there are kids here." Izuku said, "Sorry MDM." Izuku looked at his watch and said, "Well, time to take them home. Nice to finally talk to you, Mirio. I hope you are a better person than All Might." Mirio said, "I know what he said to you." Izuku stopped which Mirio said, "Let him say his apology." Izuku said, "If he was really sorry, he would let me break one of his legs." Mirio in shock, "Why?" Izuku said, "It will make me feel better and it's symbolic. Think about he broke my heart, soul, and dream. I break at least one leg or both, then he will feel my pain then, until Recovery Girl repairs it." Izuku took Eri back home and got back to the apartment to feed Gon. He said, "Okay, my night jobs are dangerous, so you are staying here." Gon nodded. Izuku wrote down a phone number to call him from the landline and tucked him to sleep. Some back alley. Izuku was walking until he saw his business partner. The man said, "Izuku, I'm glad you came." Izuku hummed, "Jiren, my business partner, of course I will come to help you. We make money together, so what are we doing tonight?" Jiren said, "Well, we are going to see the Narahata Vigilantes and a few others." Izuku said, "Awesome, let's get this bread." Jiren shrugged, "I still don't know what you kids are saying these days." They walked around to find the small group of vigilantes which Knuckleduster said, "Jiren and Anarchist." Jiren shrugged, "What, he is my business partner, you have a problem with that?" Izuku asked, "You have something with quirkless people?" Knuckleduster said, "I'm quirkless, of course I have no problem with quirkless people." The other two vigilantes were surprised that Izuku was quirkless just like their leader, which Izuku said, "Respect, and you two must be the Crawler and Pop. Step." The Crawler went up to Izuku with shining eyes. "He got it right, thank you." Izuku said, Back up please, personal space my dude." The Crawler said, "Sorry." They did their trade and Jiren said, "Since you're here Izuku, you want to sell you quirk analysis with them." Pop Step asked, "Quirk analysis?" Jiren said, "He is the best person in the underworld at it. He can look at your quirk and break it down, then find ways to improve it and find weaknesses. He sells his notes about them too." Knuckleduster said, "Can we see?" Izuku chuckled and pulled out Pop Step and the crawler's pages, which the three were in shock by how accurate it was. "Which crawler?" Vifit asked. "Do you have more?" Izuku and Jiren laughed their butts off, which Jiren mocked crawler, "Do you have more?" Which after a few seconds, Jiren said, "He has an entire library of quirks of heroes, villains, vigilantes, and other people of interest." Izuku said, "I had to buy an entire warehouse of it." The vigilante's jaws dropped to the ground from the statement, which Izuku recomposed himself. "Sorry about that, but which people are you looking for?" Knuckleduster said, "Keen Hachisuka." Izuku said, "Oh, I have that one on me." Izuku flipped a few pages to find her and pulled her out, then said, "That will be 10,000 yen. They gave him the money to Izuku, and Knuckleduster said, "Nice doing business with you, Anarchist." Izuku said, "Let me know if you know a good underground ring to go to. I love a good fight." Crawler asked, "You watch those?" Jiren said, "No kid, he actually fights in them and he is pretty good fighter." Knuckleduster asked, "If you have free time, I would like you to help me train this one." Izuku said, "Hell yeah, sure." Izuku and Jiren walked off in the darkness, which Jiren said, "I think we are going to get more money from them in the future." Izuku said, "Good, I love the underworld these days." Jiren said, "I feel like one day, Tamura will become a great villain like Sensei keeps saying." Izuku said, "Tamura came from a tragic past which can make a powerful villain." "I believe so too." Jiren said, "You are a powerful person yourself. What is your secret for that?" Izuku chuckled, "Like all quirkless people, we are weaker at BR. I became strong because I came from the weakest any human today can ever come from, and I decide to become strong." Then went off into the darkness. All Might's apartment. David and Melissa were still upset with Yagi after he told them the story of Izuku Midoriya. Yagi said, "Dave?" David said, "Yagi, I know you were trying to protect him, but you destroyed his dream as well as you know me and Melissa are quirkless. I mean, I made your suits and helped you become the hero you became today." Then the door opened and Mirio yelled, "All Might." Yagi asked, "What is it, young Mirio? Are you okay?" Mirio said, "No, the Anarchist knows about One for All and he said many other people know about it." Yagi asked, "What do you mean many other people?" Mirio told his story of his conversion with Izuku at the park, which All Might's jaw dropped, which David knew All Might was in trouble. David asked, "That is you, Quirk?" All Might decided to tell the story of One for All to David and Mirio, which Mirio and David were in shock about its dark history. Then David asked, "Wait a minute, you were formerly quirkless yourself?" Yagi said, "I'm sorry, Dave, it was for you and Melissa's safety for you not to know." Melissa was in another room listening to the conversion. She got angrier from the fact her uncle not only believing quirkless people couldn't be heroes, but he was formerly quirkless. She went out through the window to go down the stairs and ladder for a walk to clear her head. She walked around until a large thug grabbed her and said, "What is a beauty do?" He got knocked out by Izuku's bat, which he said, "You're welcome, ma." They looked at each other, which Izuku said, "We need to stop meeting like this." Melissa asked, "Did you know Uncle Might was formerly quirkless?" Izuku said, "Sensei told me after a week I met him, which is also 2 weeks before All Might Detroit smashed my dreams." Melissa asked, "Who is Sensei?" Izuku asked, "Do you want to know?" Melissa nodded and Izuku said, "All for one." Melissa gasped, "You mean the man who created the quirk?" Izuku nodded, then asked, "You want me to walk you home?" Melissa said, "No, I want to clear my head for a little bit." Izuku said, "I will walk around with you because you are just a trouble magnet and I love it." The two walked around the block, which Melissa would ask a couple of questions to Izuku about every few minutes. Then Izuku took her back to the apartment, which Melissa said, "Thank you for walking me around." Izuku said, "No problem." Melissa asked, "So you're quirkless?" Izuku said, "Since beer." Melissa said, "You're not that bad of a guy, you know." Izuku chuckled, "You're funny." Then Melissa kissed him on the cheek, then the door opened to where Yagi, David, and Mirio stood there to find the two. Izuku said, "This is my cue to haul butt." Izuku started running while Mirio was chasing him, Izuku pulled out a stun grenade to buy some time, which Izuku then pulled out a grappling hook to climb up the building and said, "Sorry Lemillion, not today." Izuku continued to run off into the night. David asked Melissa, "Are you okay?" Melissa said, "He saved me again and he gave me some helpful answers to my questions." Yagi looked at Izuku running into the night as Izuku was a reminder of his greatest failure. Melissa liked Izuku because he was brave and he didn't care he was quirkless. He helped however he can, kind of like a hero. She smiled as he ran into the darkness, which Lemillion said, "Sorry All Might, I couldn't catch him." Yagi said, "It's all right young Mirio, we will get him when we get him." Izuku checked his Sunday schedule, which consisted of 2 things that Izuku wanted to do. Izuku looked at Gon. "Today, I'm going to send you to play with Eri, but remember Kai is a germaphobe, so try to be clean as you can, and if he said you're dirty just clean yourself again. But Kai is actually nice when you get to know him, and also try to never get Eri near the room." Gon nodded and asked, "What are you doing?" Izuku said, "Just a personal thing I have been meaning to take care of, and a really good friend and I are going to wreck some stuff." After Izuku dropped Gon off, he got his weapons for this little project he was about to go to. He then texted Kurogiri to warp him to the location and he stepped through to find a nice house in a small town in North Japan. Izuku walked up to the door and saw the sign on the door that reads, "Midoriya Residence, make yourself at home." Izuku chuckled, "I guess I will." He knocked on the door, which he heard a man said, "I'll get it." The door opened to reveal a tall man with green eyes and hair looked at Izuku to ask, "Hello, how can I help you?" Izuku asked, "Are you Hisashi Midoriya?" Hisashi said, "Yeah." Izuku chuckled, "I guess I finally get to meet you, Dad." Hisashi's eyes were wide open, which Hisashi's wife asked, "Who is it, Hisashi?" Hisashi couldn't say a word, which Izuku said, "Oh, just his first son that he abandoned because he was quirkless." Hisashi said, "Give me a moment, dear." Hisashi stepped outside and closed the door, which Izuku smirked, "What? You're still ashamed of my existences? Also, did you have kids? Because I would love to meet my half-siblings." Hisashi asked, "Why are you here?" Izuku said, "To do something I always wanted to do." Hisashi asked, "What is that?" Izuku said, "To have a talk with you, father-to-son conversion." Hisashi said, "Okay, let me just tell my wife that I'll be out for a while." Izuku nodded. Hisashi opened the door to tell his wife and went back outside to say, "Okay, let's ta." Izuku knocked him out with his bat, then texted Kurogiri to get him and Dad to his warehouse, which Izuku said, "This is just too easy." 2 hours later at the warehouse, Hisashi woke up to find himself strapped to a chair, which Izuku on a chair across from him said, "You're finally awake? Good." Hisashi asked, "What is the meaning of this?" Izuku laughed, "Like I'm going to talk to a deadbeat like you, I'm just going to do something I always wanted to do." Hisashi said, "Look Izuku, I'm sorry that I left you and Inko." Izuku said, "You realize that a simple sorry can't fix this and coming back will piss off Mom more than anything. I left Mom to protect and lift her from my burden, while you—" Izuku grabbed a hammer. "You left for the most stupid reason I have heard in my life." Izuku hammered Hisashi's wrist until it fractured. Hisashi cried in pain, which Izuku said, "Beach please, take it like a man." Izuku then got out a generator add jumper cables which Izuku asked, "Do you know the voltage that can kill a human?" Hisashi in pain, "I'm sorry, please forgive me." Izuku got the jumper cables and jabbed them in Hisashi's gut. After a few seconds Izuku pulled them away to say, "What did I just say about forgiveness?" Hisashi was crying in pain while Izuku increased the voltage on the generator, which Izuku chuckled, "Now answer the question, how many volts does it take to kill the average human?" Hisashi said, 150. Izuku jabbed the jumper cables on him. Wrong. Izuku increased the voltage and Hisashi said, 100. Izuku jabbed the cables again to say, "First you were high, now you're low." Izuku increased the voltage and Hisashi said, 120. Izuku dropped the cables and said, "Correct." Izuku then pulled out a strange device which Hisashi asked, "What is that?" Izuku said, "I forgot what it's really called, but I call it the Nutbuster." Hisashi shocked, "What?" Izuku said, Okay, you have a choice. I can chop one of your fingers off or use the nutbuster on you. Hisashi said, Finger. Izuku laughed. Of course you would, but I have a better idea. Izuku pulled out a syringe full of quirk-erasing drag which he injected into Hisashi and said, Congrats, you are now quirkless like me. Hisashi was his absolute shock, which Izuku untied him to say, Come fight me, come kill the nut you busted that busted you. Hisashi got up and said, I'm not fighting you, Izuku. Izuku smiled, Too bad. Izuku punched him in the face, then got on top of him to punch him in the face repeatedly. After a while Izuku got up to wash his hands that went to Hisashi to say, Well, this is part 1. He got his phone out and called Sensei, Yeah, can you turn him into a Nomu for me? Sensei on the other end laughed and agreed to do it, which Hisashi was warped to Sensei to become Izuku's Nomu. Izuku looked at his phone to said, Okay, it's time to hang with Dabi. The alleys of Kamino. Izuku walked around to find Dabi, then smelled the smell of burning flesh, which Izuku knew he was nearby. Izuku found Dabi to say, Hey Dabi, you lovable flaming psychopath. Dabi looked at him and smiled, Hey Izuku, you ready to cause a mess? Izuku asked, Let's grab lunch first, I'm starving. Dabi laughed, then the two headed to a cafe that just opened. Izuku and Dabi went in. Izuku asked the waitress, Hello ma'am, but what is this place? The waitress said, This cafe serves food and coffee like your normal cafe, except we seat you with strangers to help people meet new people and make new friends. Dabi shrugged and Izuku said, I like the idea, I'm hungry and I can't wait to see who we meet. The two were seated with two people with menus covering their faces across them, which as they seated Izuku said, Hello there. The two people put the menus down to reveal two people who that Izuku didn't want to see. The first one was Sir Night-Eye and the other one was Mirio, which the three looked at each other while Dabi was laughing his butt off by the events. Izuku deadpan expression, Oh, it's you too. Mirio saw Sir Night-Eye who was in anger because the last conversion between him and Izuku was bad, like Izuku almost killed Sir Night-Eye. Sir calmly said, Well, if it isn't the trash that should have been taken out last week. Izuku calmly said, Right back at you, Sir Fuckface. The cafe could feel the intense aura in the air from these two being near each other. Dabi and Mirio ordered for the two. While Izuku and Sir were staring each other down, Mirio and Dabi made a truce to prevent these two from killing each other. Sir glared, How is it going being Overhauls and all for one's lapdog? Izuku smirked, Not regrettable like your All Might tattoo on your butt. Dabi and Mirio both choked on their drinks from Izuku's comment, which Sir said, You should be thrown in Tartarus. Izuku said, You should be less of AD, and actually try being nice for once, it works wonders for me. Their food was served which the two were quiet, which Dabi and Mirio were glad that the two stopped talking for food. Then the waitress brought the check which Izuku and Sir both put their hands on the check at the same time. Izuku said, Sir Knight, oh let go of the check. Sir glared at Izuku to say, I think for both of our sakes, I will pay the check. Izuku smirked, like you give a shit about my sake and All Might's successor over there has no idea who he is up against. So, for both of our sake I... Check. Sir said, you are nothing more than a 10-year throwing a fit because All Might said the truth. Izuku said, All Might was formerly quirkless himself, he abandoned his quirkless roots to play hero, now that is the biggest 10-year-old thing in this world. The two got up to attack each other, which Dabi quickly grabbed Izuku and Mirio grabbed Sir. Izuku said, Dabi, let me kick his butt. Sir said, Mirio let me go. I need to teach this kid some manners. Dabi and Mirio said at the same, we will pay the check. So Dabi and Mirio paid the check and for damage Izuku and Sir caused, which as Dabi and Izuku left Sir yelled, I can't wait for you to go to jail. Izuku yelled back, I can't wait to see you in hell. Dabi got Izuku a block away from the cafe and gave Izuku some ice cream to calm him down. Dabi asked, better? Izuku said, better? Dabi said, okay, we still doing the thing. Izuku said, hell yeah, I need something to forget about that BC who is always on his goddamn high horse. Dabi and Izuku were now walking the street to find Endeavor walking which Izuku said, Dabi what am I on because that flaming trash can is walking. Dabi fell to the ground in laughter by Izuku's comment, "I'm weak." Izuku asked, "You okay, Dabi?" Dabi said, "I'm hurting because it's funny, this why you're my best friend." Izuku said, "Dabi, I thought we were best friends because we are honest with each other and trust each other. Also, it wasn't a joke, it's the truth." Dabi laughed harder, "Stop, you're going to kill me." Then Dabi calmed down and they headed to their favorite spot to spray paint art and wield sheet. Izuku said, "Dabi, I need your fire for the gold eye." "Stole." Dabi asked, "What are you going to do with it?" Izuku said, "I'm making a giant DLD to censor fuckface, so he can shove it up his butt with his ego and all might but tattoo." Dabi asked, "Wait, is the tattoo thing real?" Izuku got out his phone and showed the picture to Dabi, which Dabi laughed his butt off to shout, "Enna, I thought you were just insulting him. This has to be a dream." Izuku said, "Sadly for him, it isn't." Dabi got up to say, "Send that to me, I need to show Toga and a few others this." Izuku sent the pic to Dabi, which after the two made the golden DLD, and Izuku also put a note inside of the box. Then Izuku dropped the box off at his building, then they found Toga, which Dabi showed the pic to Toga. Toga fell back laughing by it, which Spinner came along, which he scared by the pic but found in amazing. Izuku then left Dabi and the other to head to Tamura to tell him that he was going to the USJ raid to support him. When Izuku finished with that, he went to Kai's place to pick up Gon and check out the new process of the drag and refill his drag storage. Izuku hugged Eri, then headed off to apartment until he bumped into a man, which Izuku said, "I'm so..." The person he bumped into was All Might, who was with David, which Izuku said, "Gon, get on my back. We are going to take an alternate route home." All Might went to his buff form to said, "Young Midoriya, come with me." Izuku smirked, "Sorry, did you say run away from you?" "Sure thing." Izuku started running from All Might, which All Might appeared in front of him, which he said, "Give up, young Midoriya. You can't escape from me." Izuku said, "Without hurting you, that is." Izuku jabbed All Might in his weak spot with a taser, then tossed All Might. Izuku then hallied but from him and went down the alley to drop a smoke grenade to then climb the building to jump rooftop to the apartment. Izuku and Gon got in, which Izuku asked, "What is with my luck today?" Izuku and Gon went to the room to then call it a day. Gon asked, "Why do you hate All Might?" Izuku said, "It's a sad story if you want to know before I tell you." Izuku told Gon his story and All Might telling him he couldn't become a hero, which Gon said, "That is sad." Izuku said, "Yeah, but how was your day before that mess?" Gon said, "It was amazing, Kai was nice just like you said." Izuku said, "Good, I'm going to take you to a man who has a quirk just like yours and he will train you on how to use it." Gon asked, "Just like mine?" Izuku smiled, "Just like yours, he had it for years and he will help you with it and how to use it to its fullest." For most people, Monday was a complete beach because they are hung over from the weekend, but if you were a police officer from Hosu, Kamino, and surrounding areas, you know it's Monday when Izuku gets arrested. Izuku gets arrested every Monday, then by a bullshit miracle he escapes and destroys most of the police station. Cementos works overtime on Monday because of this, which All Might and Eraserhead are forced by a new law called Izuku Midoriya Law, specifically to watch Izuku and others like him while he is in the interrogation room and when sending him to his jail cell. Izuku laughed that the Japanese government made the law just for him because he made this a Monday thing. Izuku turns himself in on purpose just to escape to absolutely destroy the reputation of the law, the police, and heroes. Izuku was now sitting in the interrogation room completely chained up like Hannibal Lecter, which two men walked in. Izuku said, "Hello, Sir Asshat and Lie Detector." Naomasa sighed because he is tired of Izuku's sheet. "Hello again, Izuku Midoriya." Izuku asked, "What is he doing here?" Sir Night Eye said, "I'm here to apologize for what I said yesterday and the times before that. I saw that could be a hero if you're on the right path, which me and All Might were wrong about it because you were quirkless." Izuku in shock, "Bring me my phone, I want to record this." Naomasa said, "Sorry, I'm not doing that." Izuku pouted, "I guess I'm not saying a word and I will escape like I normally do." Sir Night Eye got Izuku's phone out and Izuku told him the password, which Sir apologized with the recorder on. which Izuku decided to bury the hatchet for now. Naomasa felt the tension die down a little bit, which they began the interrogation, which Izuku's mom, All Might, and Eraserhead were behind the glass. Miss Midoriya was shocked to see her son because she hasn't seen him since he ran away and she was tearing up. Naomasa asked, "Okay, first question, where is All for One?" Izuku said, "Sorry, can't answer that one." Sir asked, "Why?" Izuku said, "I get warped to his location, I never actually walked or was told where it's at." Naomasa heard, "Truth?" He continued, "What is Overhaul planning?" Izuku said, "Erase quirks and control the quirk market like he said 3 weeks ago. Nothing more, nothing less." Naomasa heard, "Truth?" Naomasa asked, "You were the last person to see Hisashi Midoriya, your father. Where is he at?" Izuku chuckled, "He is coming." The two looked at him. Sir asked, "What do you mean?" Izuku asked, "Is Mom on the other side of the glass?" Naomasa nodded, then a warp portal opened revealing a big dark green Nomu coming out, which Izuku said, "Speak of the devil, Dad, get me out of these restraints." The Nomu got Izuku out of his restraints, which Naomasa and Sir were shocked that Izuku would do this to his own father. All Might and Eraserhead were in disguise by this and tried to get to the other side. Izuku said, "Okay, Dad, kill everyone here except me and the short green-haired woman on the other of the mirror." All Might came, in which the Nomu attacked him and started wreaking havoc, which Izuku went up to his mom to say, "Come on Mom, I will answer your questions when we get to my place." Miss Midoriya took Izuku's hand and they were warped by All for One to Izuku's place, which Izuku said, "Gon, I'm back." Gon appeared and asked, "Who is that?" Izuku said, "This is my mom, and since you are my little brother, you can call her Mom if you want or just Miss Midoriya if you want." Gon nodded and Izuku got his mom seated with tea next to them. Then Izuku asked, "Are you comfortable?" Miss Midoriya asked, "What have you been doing?" Izuku leaned back to say, "You want the long answer or the short answer?" Izuku looked at his mom and said, "The short answer is that I'm a member of the Yazuka, a member of the League of Villains, illegal arms dealer, SLV valuer, info broker, and I guess a part-time vigilante." Miss Midoriya looked at her son in shock. "What is a SLV valuer?" Izuku said, "I look at slaves and their quirks to determine how much money they are worth." Miss Midoriya slapped her son. "I did not raise you to be involved in the SLV trade." Gon said, "But if he wasn't, he wouldn't have saved me." Miss Midoriya looked at Gon then to Izuku. "Is that true?" Izuku said, "Yeah, I have saved many slaves and returned them to their families, but Gon here has no family, so I took him in." Miss Midoriya said, "I'm sorry, Izuku." Izuku got an ice pack. "No, I deserve that one." Miss Midoriya asked, "So you work for Overhaul, and who is this All for One?" Izuku said, "All Might's arch-enemy, who is like a father to me. He is a really nice guy when you actually get to know him. We play chess, do quirk analysis, and talk politics every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday." Gon said, "Speaking of which, you have a meeting with him in 10 minutes. Miss Midoriya said, "I want to meet him." Izuku in shock. "What?" Miss Midoriya said, "I want to see if he really is a nice guy like you say he is." Izuku shrugged because he knew he wasn't going to win this agreement. She asked, "You called that monster Dad, is that really?" Izuku said, "Yeep, after I beat up Dad, I got All for One to turn him into a Nomu." Miss Midoriya in shock. "What?" Izuku said, "You should have seen him. He remarried and had 2 kids. What's worse, the boy is named Izuku, which means there are 2 Izuku Midoriyas in Japan from the same dad. He actually replaced me, Mom." Miss Midoriya was in shock and rage, which Izuku said, "But I didn't hurt them, I just want father to suffer for what he did to us. I'm sorry I have turned into a monster I am today." Miss Midoriya hugged her son. "I still love you. I heard from All Might about saving people, which I was happy about it, but I'm still angry he told you that you couldn't be a hero." Izuku said, "Wait, All Might came to talk to you? That BS dude, I'm going to break both of his legs and maybe an arm as well." Izuku cried a little bit with his mom, and after a while Kurogiri's warp gate opened, which he, his mom, and Gon went in. Izuku said, "I love Mondays, Sensei." Sensei chuckled. "You never run out of ideas, do you, Izuku?" Keep it up because Tamura is learning from you and is improving and finding ways to improve strategies. Miss Midoriya was afraid, but seeing All for One and Izuku talking to each other, it calmed her down. Sensei asked, "Are you Izuku's mom?" Miss Midoriya said, "Yes, sir." Sensei said, "You have truly raised a wonderful son. He made what people think is a weakness into an advantage, which you should be proud that your son is well respected by many, even me." Izuku chuckled, "Sensei, you're so kind." Miss Midoriya saw Izuku's smile and saw it pure happiness, which she haven't seen it in a long time. "I'm glad he is happy. I haven't seen him this happy in a long time. I'm glad you helped make it." Sensei turned to Gon to ask, "Are you Gon?" Gon said, "Yes, sir." Sensei showed his force activation quirk, which Gon was in awe, and Sensei said, "I heard you have this quirk as well. I will train you on how to use it." Gon showed what he could do with it, which Izuku continued to answer his mom's questions, which after a while Izuku said, "I think it's time we head out to check my goddaughter." Miss Midoriya was shocked about the statement. Sensei said, "Well, it was nice to meet you, Miss Midoriya. Izuku, have a nice day, and you are still going with Tamura on his debut." Izuku said, "I can't wait for it, Dad." Miss Midoriya was even more shocked that her son called this man his dad, which Izuku, his mom, and Gon were warped to Kai's place. Kai's hideout. Izuku helped his mom stand straight. "Yeah, it takes a while to get used to warping." Hari saw them and asked, "Hey Izuku, what you up to today?" Izuku smiled, "This is the first time I met my mother in about a year, so I'm catching up with her." Eri came out to hug Izuku. "Uncle Izuku." Izuku picked her up. "Wow, you are getting bigger each day. You are going to be taller than me soon." Eri giggled, then she saw Izuku's mom, which Izuku said, "This is my mom." Miss Midoriya looked at the child to see that she was incredibly cute, and Eri said, "Grandma." Miss Midoriya fell over, which Izuku said, "Don't die on me, Mom." Miss Midoriya got up to say, "Sorry, I wasn't expecting to be called that until much later in my life." Kai came out to say, "Izuku, we need your help with something." Izuku said, "Coming." Izuku left his mom, Gon, and Eri with Hari because Izuku trusts Hari to do that. Miss Midoriya asked, "What are they doing?" Hari said, "Most likely Kai wants Izuku to analyze some quirks on some heroes we will attack soon, or quirks for our attack on our rival Yizuka." Miss Midoriya was seeing Izuku was important and everyone actually respects him despite being quirkless, like All for One said. After a few minutes, Izuku came out to say, "Okay, so we are heading off to my apartment. I can't wait for the fight in a few days with the League." Hari said, "Have fun. If it goes well, Kai will work with the League." Izuku said, "It will go well, I promise, but if we fail to kill All Might, we damaged Yue's reputation, and take care now, Hari." Before they left, Hari said, "Overhaul found another fight ring you two can go to." Izuku said, "I can't wait, I have been itching for a fight." Miss Midoriya looked at her son and saw that he was definitely different from she remembered. Izuku's apartment. Izuku, Gon, and Miss Midoriya were warped in his apartment, which Miss Midoriya actually looked around and it was much nice than she had. Izuku said, "We will move you here tomorrow because I need my 1-hour break." Miss Midoriya said, "Well, I didn't expect you work for people who are nice, to be honest." Izuku said, "Most don't think so either, but sometimes kindness and brains gets you really far." The door knocked and Izuku went to get it. He opened it to reveal Melissa. Izuku said, "How did you find me?" Melissa said, "I put a tracking device on you the last time we met." Izuku nodded. "Smart. Are you going to turn me in?" Melissa said, "No. I just want to get to know you." Izuku said, "Okay, but can we do this later, like maybe a date?" Melissa blushed. Izuku said, "Okay, tomorrow around 8. Melissa nodded. "I will see you then." She left and Izuku closed the door. He turned around to see his mom. Miss Midoriya said, "My son is going on a date with such a appealing girl." Izuku turned red. "Mom, please." Izuku got up from his bed to begin the day by moving stuff from his mom's place to his apartment. Izuku gave his mom his king-size bed in his old room in the apartment and put a queen-size bed in his weapon room to make the room his new bedroom. Izuku finished moving his mom in and quickly put all his weapons in his warehouses. He gave Gon some homework to do while he was gone. His mother looked at Gon's homework to help him but looked at it in shock. Miss Midoriya asked, "Izuku, what is this?" Izuku said, "I'm teaching him Latin, accounting, economics, politics, philosophy, and English." Miss Midoriya looked at her son. "Does that look like something a 6-year-old should learn?" Izuku kissed his mom on the forehead. "He can do it, I believe in him." She looked at Gon, who already wrote a paragraph to answer a question that asks the answer to be written in Latin, and finished a few accounting questions. She was in amazement by Gon's knowledge in the fields and did try to help out the subjects she did know, which Izuku got warped to the League's hideout. Izuku asked, "Tamura, you ready?" Tamura was in his outfit, which he wore his t-shirt, breathes, and a trench coat with hands on his face, shoulders, and arms, which he smiled, "Yes, I am, I'm glad you came." Izuku nodded, which Tamura got up on a table to give his speech to the grunts they hired. "Today our main goal is to kill All Might with this." Tamura gestured to the Nomu. "This Nomu was built to kill All Might, but I would like to assure you all that even if by some miracle it fails, we still won at the end of the day." The grunts looked at Tamura in confusion, which he continued, "We are going to get in UA undetected without triggering the alarms, and if you all injury any students, then All Might and UA failed to protect and keep their brats safe. We will be written in the history books as the ones who tore down this stupid and failure of a system hero society. We will bring rise to a new system that will benefit us. As soon as we enter the USJ, we have already won." The grunts saw the picture and cheered. Izuku saw how inspiring Tamura was and he felt inspired by the speech. AFO heard Tamura's speech and felt nothing but pride for him. He knew he was going to walk the earth as one of the greatest villains to exist. Tamura got down from the table to ask, "How did I do?" Kurogyri said, "That was amazing, Tamura." Izuku nodded, putting on sunglasses and a bandana covering his mouth. "You have talent for public speaking, you should use it more." Kurogyri opened a portal and the three went in first to greet the students first. The three came out of the portal to see the students, 13 and Eraserhead, which Tamura said, "I don't see All Might, well I guess we will have to draw him out." Izuku said, "I'm glad you are taking this so well, remember the Nomu is for All Might. Kurogyri will handle 13 over there and I will handle Eraserhead." Izuku revealed his new razor wire-covered baseball bat, which he learned that it could cut Eraserhead's scarf up if it touches his bat. Kurogyri started warping students except a few of them. Eraserhead saw grunts coming out of the portal and started running into them, but Izuku jumped in front of him. Izuku asked, Now Eraserhead, where do you think you are going to?" Eraserhead activated his quirk, which Izuku set off. "I'm deeply offended that you assume I have a quirk. Better yet that I need one to kick your butt." Eraserhead looked at him in confusion. "What?" Izuku took off his sunglasses and bandana to say, "You know I'm quirkless, like lack of quirk. I respected you because we both fight quirkless, but now you are pissing me off." Eraserhead groaned. "Izuku Midoriya, why are you here?" Izuku said, "Because Aizawa, I am here to support the new League of Villains and take care of you." Aizawa smirked. "What makes you think you can beat me?" Izuku chuckled. "I haven't shown you all my tricks." Then Aizawa asked, "What trick haven't you sh?" Izuku shot Aizawa in the D with a RBB bullet, which he said, "Don't worry, they are just RBB bullets." Izuku continued to shoot Aizawa in the D and other parts of his body until he ran out of bullets in the clip, then went up to Aizawa to knock him out with his nightstick he also carried around with him. Izuku turned to Tamura to say, "Eraserhead is knocked out." Tamura smiled. "There are some problems at the mountain zone, can you check on that?" Izuku walked to the portal. "Sure thing, it wouldn't hurt to check it out." Mountain zone. Momo, Kyoka, and Denki were just about to relax from defeating all the villains until a big villain with an electric quirk grabbed Denki's neck to say, "I would surrender if I was you too." The two had no choice but to drop their weapons with the grunt was about to do something dirty to the girls until a whack to the back of his head. He fell down and Denki, who was still in his stupid stage, was free. The girls saw that Izuku was the one who knocked out the grunt. Izuku said, "Herku, you BSTD, I thought you learned to stop harassing women. Jesus Christ, I going to reteach you a lesson about how to treat lady." Kyoka backed up and fell off the cliff. Momo yelled, "Kyoka!" Izuku ran off the cliff and dived to catch her and used his grappling hook to help them land safely. Which he put her down to say, "Sorry about that, miss, but you don't have to thank me." Izuku walked off, which Kyoka asked, "What is your name?" Izuku looked at her. Izuku Midoriya, also known as the Anarchist. "I hope you are one of the few students here who don't get injured, because I will beat the shit out of the guy who hurt a appealing girl like you." She blushed, which then a portal opened up and Izuku said, "I got to go, Tamura is waiting on me." Izuku left, leaving her to red and embarrassed, but she was falling in love with Izuku and she didn't know it yet. Central Plaza. Izuku appeared next to Tamura. "The brats survived, but one of them is injured, but we are doing jia." Suddenly a loud, "Deku," was heard. Izuku groaned as he saw Bakugo flying at him, which he said, "Give me a moment, that one is mine." Izuku ran at Bakugo and Bakugo flew at him. When they were a foot away from each other, Izuku pulled out a flashlight to blind Bakugo. Izuku quickly moved out of the way for Bakugo to crash land, which Izuku used his taser baton to hit his back as he got up. Izuku said, "Kaken, it's been forever." Izuku smashed one of Bakugo's hands, then said, "How are your?" Izuku went to the other hand and did the same to officially break both his hands, which he continued, "Hands? Oh, they are still broken. I thought you would get that fixed. I guess you are too stubborn to get help from a doctor." Bakugo in pain, "I'm going to kill you, Deku." Izuku jabbed Bakugo in the ribs to tase him. "A hero doesn't threaten a villain with death, you know that. But I'm just going to kick your butt, and this time, you won't be able to become a hero afterwards." Bakugo felt the venom on the hero part, which Izuku continued to beat the shit out of Bakugo and started breaking a few bones, then out of instinct jumped backwards. A wall of ice appeared separating him from Bakugo, which Todoroki came to save Bakugo. Izuku said, "Well, if it isn't daddy issues." Todoroki tiled his head. "What?" Izuku said, "Oh, I know about Endeavor's abuse, trust me. I learned it from your big brother Toya. Now I'm going to beat up my former lifelong bully." Todoroki summoned another wall of ice to catch him, but Izuku threw a grenade at it and ran for cover. Todoroki asked, "Toya's alive?" Izuku smirked, "And is doing well. Now I'll give you a deal. I tell you where you could possibly find him. In exchange I get a few more hits on Bakugo here." Todoroki said, "No deal." Izuku said, "Too bad." The Nomu came out of nowhere to punch Todoroki in the gut, sending him flying to the doors of the UC, which Izuku said, "Thanks, Tamura." Tamura responded, "No problem, Izuku." Izuku saw Bakugo starting to move. "Where was I? Oh yeah." Izuku started tossing and whacking Bakugo until All Might broke down the doors to say, "Have no fear, because I am here." Izuku said, "Oh, Johnny Bravo has arrived. Well, time to finish Kaken here." Izuku shot Bakugo in the back, which All Might quickly grabbed Bakugo and Eraserhead to put them to the side, which he was too late to get Bakugo from the bullet. Izuku said, "Don't worry, he will live," but unable to walk or use his quirk. All Might looked at Izuku in rage. "What do you mean?" Izuku smirked. "I erased my lifelong bully's quirk that he would torture me with. Now tell me, can a monster like him who is now quirkless still be a hero? Can a quirkless nobody like me become a hero?" All Might in shame, "You no longer have hope of being a hero, because I have failed you. But I will not fail young Bakugo." Izuku laughed his butt off, which All Might went to grab Izuku, but the Nomu tackled All Might and the two began their fight. Izuku walked to Tamura's right side while Kurogiri was on Tamura's left side, which he said, "Let's support the Nomu in every way we possibly can." Tamura said, "I was thinking the same thing." The three watched as the Nomu and All Might, which he was going to suplex the Nomu until Kurogiri opened a portal to make the Nomu grab All Might by his sides, which Izuku said, "Hold him still." So All Might and the Nomu were locked in a stalemate and couldn't move until Izuku pulled out the razor wire bat, which Tamura asked, "What did you do with you bat?" Izu said, "This is a different bat. I have been saving this one for a while." The two went up to All Might, which Izuku started hit All Might's right leg with the bat to break his leg. The wire cut up All Might's leg to reveal the bone as it broke, which All Might screamed in pain. Then Izuku pulled out a bottle of vodka for him and Tamura to drink. Then Izuku poured the entire bottle on All Might's leg, which the students were in shock by the events, which Tamura grabbed All Might's weak spot to say, "My turn." As All Might was in greater pain, all of a sudden Tamura got shot in the shoulder, which Izuku looked to see the UA teachers, which Tamura ordered the Nomu to let go of All Might. The three got the Nomu in and looked at the heroes, which Tamura said, "This isn't the last you see of us again." Izuku yelled, "That's right, because we will always be watching you." Then the three got in the portal to get back to the bar, which FO asked, "How did it go?" Tamura said, "We didn't kill him, but we heavily injured All Might and the others. The Nomu is returned safely back into the lab so we can use it again." Izuku said, "He will be extremely weak when he gets out of the hospital." An hour later the news appeared, which showed the USJ, which showed the pictures of the villains responsible for it. The pictures of Izuku, Tamura, and Kurogyari, which Izuku got a phone call. Izuku picked up, "Hello Gon, what's happening?" His mom was on the other side, which he kind of forgot she is starting to live with him. She questioned what he did over at the USJ. He explained that he made Bakugo unable to walk and made him quirkless and broke All Might's leg, which she was angry but let it go after a while. Which he told her that he was fine and unharmed, which he was at the League's base at the moment. Then he put the phone away to check the time and said, "I guess I got to get ready for my date tonight." Tamura and Kurogyari looked at him in shock, which he said, "What? You two know I have a life besides the League and the Yakuza?" Which Kurogyari asked, "Who is the lucky lady?" Izuku said, "Just someone I met a few days ago." "Well, have fun recruiting more people and I will get Dabi and his friends to join you." Kurogyari warped Izuku to his apartment so he can get changed and check Gon's homework quickly. His mom was still shocked that Izuku was teaching Gon such high-level knowledge, which Izuku's response was, "Trust me, these subjects really help me in this line of work." Izuku wore a black tuxedo with a green dress shirt and a white tie. He walked out of his apartment to find Melissa in her dress, same as the movie. Izuku said, "You look stunning." Melissa blushed. "You think so?" Izuku said, "No, I know you are." Izuku then got a limo to pick them up, which Melissa said, "This is nice." Izuku said, "If this is nice, wait until you see where we are going to." They arrived at a place called Tappa's Molecular Bar, which Melissa was impressed by the place. They got their food and she enjoyed it and had some fun, but Melissa saw the bill, which Izuku chuckled and paid it and left a tip of 11,086 yen, a little more than $100. Izuku said, "Let's have some fun and I have money to burn." They rode around to little shops and tech shops as well, which Izuku did have a really good fake driver's license and bought a brand new Tesla, which he was driving around with her in it, which he said, "So this is what it feels like to drive in style." The two were having a blast, which then he drove to her place, which she said, "I had a great time." Izuku said, "Hey, I'm sorry about the whole breaking your Uncle Might's leg thing, but I like you so I guess he will probably get an apology card from me." Melissa in shock, "Really?" Izuku said, "Unless you don't, me too." Melissa said, "I like you too, but I think you should get on my dad's good side a little and send Uncle Might an apology card." Izuku smirked, "Okay, it will be done, my lady." Melissa laughed and he opened the door for her and walked her to apartment, which David opened the door to find the two. Izuku said, "Don't worry, I brought her back safely and unharmed. She had fun and I going to leave now." David was about to say something, but Mirio ran out of nowhere and Izuku got in his new car and Tokyo drift his way from Mirio. Mirio got on the windshield, which Izuku yelled, "Don't dirty up the windshield. I just bought this thing like an hour ago." Mirio was about to phase through the windshield until Izuku stepped on the brake to send Mirio flying off the car and Izuku put the car in reverse. Izuku drove off and called Kurogyari to warp him and his new car to his warehouses, which a portal appeared in front of him and he put his new car in one of them and covered it because it's a new Telsa and he doesn't want to get it dirty. Izuku came home and told his mom how the date went and everything, which Gon said, "I got your bills and bank account information letters." Izuku grabbed them and started doing them. His mom wanted to help but was amazed by her son is able to do his bills with ease. After a few minutes, Izuku muttered, "So let's see after tonight's date, bills paid for, and a few other expenses. I should have 44,661,600,000 yen, $400 million give or take. His mom dropped her teacup, which she asked, "How much do you have?" Izuku told her the amount he had, which she said, "You realize what you can do with the money?" Izuku said, "Buy a house, retirement plan, and other stuff, but I'm not ready for that yet." Miss Midoriya looked at him, which he said, "I guess I can get a bigger apartment but not a house." They settled on the idea, which she asked, "Where did you get the money?" Izuku said, "My villain activities beside Overhaul and the League are robbing banks, arms dealing, sell illegal stuff, quirk analysis, and other stuff. Which no one besides me, you, and Gon know how much money I have, so tell no one." She nodded, and he went to bed to prepare for a week of craziness he was going to do, and he was going to have a blast. It'd been 2 weeks since the USJ, which Kai and Tamura have been doing some talks which resulted in a partnership between the two organizations. Izuku was now driving around town in his Tesla at high speed with Dabi as his passenger. Izuku said, "I love this car, it's fast and has style. Best Buy, 10 out of 10. Dabi turned on the radio, which broadcasted the UA Sports Festival. They listened to it while Izuku ran through some red lights. Izuku said, "I wish I was able to get in, but since I was at the USJ, I can't go visit UA events." Dabi smirked, "I have an idea, can you call Kurojiri?" Izuku used the car's phone system to call Kurojiri, which Kurojiri said, "Hello." Dabi asked, "Hey Kurojiri, is it possible to warp us from our location to the UA Sports Festival?" Izuku looked at Dabi, which Kurojiri said, "Yeah." Dabi said, "Do it." Dabi hung up the phone before Izuku could respond, which then a portal opened up in front of them. Izuku said, "I hope to God, this car doesn't get destroyed." They went through the portal to go give UA hell with their sweet ride. UA Sports Festival. Everyone was enjoying the event so far, except Bakugo, who was angry, but he is able to walk again because Izuku missed the spot to actually take away his walking, but he was lucky. Bakugo was in fact quirkless now, which set him off the most, that his quirk was erased by Izuku, the useless quirkless kid he bullied. He had to explain what he did to Izuku when they were younger, which everyone was not happy about, but they gave him a second chance to make up for it by being the first quirkless hero. As much as Bakugo hated his situation, he still wanted to be a hero, and he was not letting this handicap stop him. Aizawa couldn't walk for now because you took a few RBB bullets to the D, then yeah, you are not supposed to move. Yagi was still in the hospital, which everyone was still angry with Izuku and the League about that, which when Yagi got an apology card from Izuku, he didn't know what to think. Izuku hated him, but he was questioning on why Izuku was apologizing to him about his injury, which he was going to investigate that. Nizu had to work overtime to take care of interviews and paperwork about the USJ, like the injuries of the students, teachers, and property damage. Everyone was relaxed and enjoying the festival until they saw a portal open and saw a black Tesla fly out of it, making donuts on the fighting ring, which had Kyoka and Mina on it. The windows of the car rolled down, revealing Dabi and Izuku, which they started raising their middle fingers in the air like the "they just don't care." Wait, was that a rhyme? Izuku flew out of the ring to tear up the grass, which Dabi started setting the grass on fire, which people could hear Dabi yelling, "Keep it steady, I want this done right." Izuku shouted, "Hurry, this grass is getting my car dirty." Dabi yelled, "You have money to clean this car, better yet you can replace this car with another one." The two drove around the ring to make some words, and they stopped, which Dabi yelled, "Hey Endeavor, this is a message to you." The camera got to an angle to see the words they wrote, which read, "Few Dad." Izuku looked at Kyoka to say, "Nice to see you again, did you get hurt after I left?" Kyoka blushed, "No." Dabi looked at Izuku and though about how much trouble he was getting himself into, which then Midnight and Endeavor appeared in front of the two. Izuku said, "Okay Dabi, you get your dad and I get my favorite elf." Dabi said, "Stop, you're going to get hurt one day for saying that sheet." Izuku pulled out his bullwhip and walked to Midnight. "I haven't touched tips with you in a while." Midnight said, Era, little Shota has been a bad boy for a while now." Izuku said, "W is so good that I will call you Honey." Midnight said, "You can call me whatever you want, little Shota." Endeavor and Dabi were equally disturbed by their conversion, which Dabi said, "Quit it Izuku, you are making this weirder than it needs to be." Izuku said, but I was getting warmed up. Fine, I'll stop. Endeavor asked, who are you? Dabi smirked. I guess you really can't recognize your own son. Well, doesn't matter, I just want to kick your butt. Endeavor in shock. Toya? Dabi chuckled. Then more heroes arrived, which Izuku said, I'm sorry in advance, I believe in true gender equality. Izuku punched Midnight in the gut and hallied but into his car, and Dabi threw a fireball at Endeavor to follow Izuku. They got in the car to drive around the field and the ring, which Izuku called Kurogiri, to get them the hell out of the stadium. They saw a portal and drove in it to appear in front of Izuku's warehouses, which Dabi asked, where are we? Izuku said, these are my warehouses that I do stuff in, and they are labeled as such. The first building had the sign reading, Rober Multiplicat, which Dabi asked, what the hell does that say? Izuku said, that is Latin for powerless, which that is Kai's second factory, which I oversee. Dabi looked at the other ones reading, Arma Ignis, Te Deum, Bibliotheca, Cibus, and they stopped at Civis Seditiosus et Turbulentus, which Dabi asked, okay, what does that one say? Izuku said, that one means, Anarchist, believe it or not. Dabi in shock, no. Those 4 words means, Anarchist. Izuku said, Google Translate if you don't believe me. Dabi used Google, and Izuku was right that his simple villain name is a long but name in Latin. Izuku put the car in the building, which has his weapons and multiple villain outfits, because Izuku likes to change it up every once in a while. Izuku looked at the car and sighed in relief, it's just dirty, I will get it washed tomorrow because I have something else to do tonight, wanna come with? Dabi shrugged, I don't have anything better to do. Izuku and Dabi were walking the alley to find Stain and Ingenuum in a fight, which Izuku yelled, Stain. Stain jumped back and grunted, Anarchist. Izuku said, okay Stain, why are you attacking Ingenuum? He has been following your ideas of a true hero, and yet here you are killing a true hero. Stain said, he has been talking to you. Izuku said, so? He wants help capturing villains, and I give him my quirk analysis. Is that wrong for people to ask? I mean, you kill people and I don't, so who is the bad guy here? I mean, you are killing fake heroes, but murder is still murder, while I haven't killed a single person yet. Stain grunted, why are you always right? Izuku gave Stain some papers and said, these are the fakes you should kill, now go get them. Stain jumped and quickly ran away, which Izuku looked at Ingenuum to say, he won't kill yet because he needs to find them and time to plan. I brought the quirk analysis you wanted. Ingenuum got them, I hate you, but I need your help with stuff like this, so what is the payment? Izuku chuckled, for saving your life and getting you the information, I will say about favor for later in my life. The two walked off, which Dabi said, that was neat seeing Stain so close. Izuku said, he is an interesting man, don't get me wrong, it's just to me. He is a weirdo. Dabi chuckled, so what is next? Izuku said, I got to go shopping for a gift for my girl. Dabi laughed, you got a girlfriend, but you still flirt with other women. Izuku said, I would like to think of it as engaging in a lovely conversion. The two walked around until they saw a group of thugs surrounding a teen girl, which Izuku said, Demon, that is how I met Melissa, time to see who I meet this time. Dabi just sat back to watch the show because he knows Izuku can take care of himself. Izuku found the leader and beat the shit out of him. After the rest ran off, he realized he saved Kyoka, which he said, I saved you again, I guess I'm some sort of knight in shining armor. Well, are you alright? Kyoka blushed, yes, I'm alright. Izuku asked, how did you end up here? Kyoka explained her reason of meeting her friends at the mall nearby, which Izuku offered to walk her there. Which Dabi went along because he would be burning people alive if Izuku wasn't there, and that gets boring after a while. The SCRT her to the mall, which she thanked Izuku and gave her number to him, which Dabi said, look at this player here with 2 girls here. Izuku chuckled, Dabi, you are just jealous that I can afford such thing. The two went the place they would do their art, which Izuku pulled out a secret door which had their spray paint and various gold and other valuable metals. Dabi spray painted a picture of Endeavor skiing a black D, which Izuku took a pic and sent it to the dark net. Then Izuku said, I want to use fire to make a trophy for your dad. I will be trophy that reads, number 1 worst dad, which it will be a PP, but it will have number 1 on it. Dabi smiled. I love it. The two got to work, and after a while they dropped it off and headed to the alleys to find the Naruhata Vigilantes, which Izuku was prepared to help train them. They arrived to them, which Knuckleduster looked at Izuku to ask, "So, you broke All Might's leg?" Izuku pulled out his blood-covered razor wire bat. "Yep, and this is proof." Knuckleduster chuckled. "You are proof that our kind shouldn't be messed with." Which Izuku agreed on that statement, which Dabi sat down to watch how this was going to work out. Izuku gave Crawler a run for his money by his many tricks. Crawler said, "Why do you have so many weapons on you?" Izuku said, "I want to be ready for any situation that I face, and if there is one thing I learned from the underworld is that you must never fight fair. Heroes try to fight me fair, but I always have the advantage when it comes to fights." Izuku pulled out his gun and his quirk erasing bullets. "This right here is my trump card, the quirk erasing bullets. Once I erase the quirks, I have full advantage because they don't fight quirkless and I do." Knuckleduster agreed on Izuku's statement, which Crawler was understanding the importance of dirty fighting in their fights, which Izuku and Dabi left. Dabi said, "They are an interesting group." Izuku said, "I like them, misfits trying to help their community and arrest the nearby villains that the heroes can't get. That is courage right there." The two continued their way into the night, which Izuku invited Dabi to his new apartment, which had an extra bedroom, which Izuku gave that to Dabi for him to sleep in for the night. Miss Midoriya learned about Dabi's story, which she got upset that someone could do something that bad to their family. Dabi liked Miss Midoriya because she reminded him of his mom before the thing with his little brother Shoto. After dinner and watched the news of Izuku and Dabi causing a mess at the sports festival, which ended with Midnight punched in the gut, Endeavor burnt on his arm, Kamui Woods burnt as well, and few other heroes unable to catch the two. Everyone went to bed to call it a day, which Izuku put Kyoka's number on his phone and said, "This won't bite me in the butt later, I'm real sure." Izuku just left the bank with Danjuro and Manami with a ton of cash and gold, enjoying an easy break-in and escape. Kurogiri helped them with the transport, Danjuro being the star of the show, Manami being the camera girl and actress, and Izuku being a special guest to the show, just stealing a lot of money with ease. Their internet show exploded when Izuku came in the help by giving them jobs that will help boost popularity, and his appearance helped them get a lot of quirkless fans. Ever since the USJ and the sports festival, the new updated villain list has Izuku as an S-class villain, which makes him the first quirkless villain to get such a rank. Izuku was the first quirkless villain to get a class rank, and this was now another trophy he can add to his wall. Izuku was now counting money and separating the pay because Izuku is a man of his word and believes in fair pay. He gave everyone a fair share of splitting the pay, which Danjuro and Manami got their half while Izuku and Kurogiri got their half. Everyone knew that Izuku is a man of his word unless his life was in serious danger, and that he always pursued pleasure above all else. But sometimes it's not his pleasure he pursues, sometimes he likes to see people find their pleasure and would help them. Izuku was not a selfish person, he likes to share and help out others. Izuku shook Danjuro's hand. "Pleasure doing business with you, I hope we continue to work with each other." Danjuro smiled. "I hope so too." Izuku left to walk around in the alleys of Hosu to find Spinner, which he's out looking for Stain, killing thugs, or stalking and killing fake heroes. Izuku at first didn't like or hate Spinner because he reminded Izuku of Stain, which Izuku didn't like or hate Stain. To Izuku, Stain had a good ideology, but he was weird and creepy, which Spinner was a little less creepy. To Stain, Izuku was a villain that had information to help him, and Izuku was too nice to be a villain, which confused him the most. Stain never felt comfortable around Izuku because he was nice but could beat the shit out of a person with ease if he was angered. The two never really sat down and had a talk because their talks would be just trade talks where Izuku gave Stain information on fake heroes that Izuku believed needed to be out of the picture because they agreed that the system was full of fake heroes that needed to be taken care of. But the true differences were that Izuku hated governments of all kinds because they would discriminate him and his kind no matter what, and believed All Might was one of the fake heroes. Izuku found Spinner, who just killed a fake hero, which Izuku said, "Looks like someone is having fun." Spinner smirked. "You do have your ways of finding people." Izuku chuckled. "Well, let's head out to take care of some business." The two headed off to go do their personal business. The one thing they had in common was that the quirkless and mutant quirked people were looked down by everyone else. There is a hierarchy in this world people don't talk about, but everyone knows about, the quirk hierarchy as it's commonly called. The top of the hierarchy is the emitters because they are still human but with a quirk, and under them was the transformation quirks which made the users a mutant for a short time. The third is mutation quirks like Spinner where they are mutated because of the quirk which they no longer look human but they are somewhat treated like human. Then there was the quirkless on the bottom which they are the most heavily discriminated and seen as the inferior humans actually not even human because of the lack of a quirk. The two hated the hierarchy of this society and agree on teaching few people a lesson on how stupid it was. The two understood what it's like to be discriminated and loved inflict pain on others who tries to fight them and other things. Izuku and Spinner were now outside a restaurant that had signs reading, "No mutants or quirkless," which Izuku asked, "You ready?" Spinner smirked, "When you are." Izuku opened the door to throw a flashbang and closed it fast. They heard the bang and opened it up to begin the beatdown. Izuku gave Spinner one of his bats because it was more fun to break bones and make the enemy suffer than killing them. They have been watching the place closely to figure out when the owner comes in, and today was day. They beat up the workers, some of the customers, and the owner, but the owner was also tied up and stripped naked, which Izuku and Spinner put him on the roof of the place. Which the two ran off before the heroes and cops showed up, which Izuku asked, "You think the owner got the message?" Spinner said, "I'm sure." The two definitely respected each other because of skill, ideals, and hatred for society, which the two headed to the league's base. Izuku is going to have a meeting with Kai, Sensei, and Tamura, which makes 4 S-class ranked villains in one room to discuss their future plans. Izuku has been their bridge and working for both of them. He oversees Kai's second factory and Sensei's second Nomu factory, making him a powerful person. Izuku got warped into the Sensei's room, which everyone was there. Izuku said, "Sensei, Kai, Tamura, it's always great to see you three." The three welcomed him, which Sensei said, "So here we are. The most powerful and influenced villains of today are now here to talk about the future of Japan. I would like to discuss our first objective, All Might and his successor." The three nodded. Then Sensei continued, "I'm not strong as I used to be. I can only leave this place for 3 hours a day." Kai interrupted, "If you don't mind, I would like to use my quirk to heal you back to full health." Sensei nodded, which used his quirk to heal Sensei back to full health, which Tamura with wide eyes said, "Sensei?" Izuku looked at Sensei to say, "You must have been stealing girls' hearts back in the day." Sensei chuckled at Izuku's response, then said, "Thank you, Izuku, and thank you, Overhaul, for your healing." Then everyone got settled, which Sensei said, "I expect All Might and his allies to find us and destroy us. I want to keep a low profile for a while, but to continue what we are doing, so Izuku, we need you to tone it down on your activities for a little bit. Like maybe put your full attention on the factories, money flow, and recruitment." Izuku sighed, "Yes, Sensei, I understand." Kai said, "Don't worry, Izuku. It's only for a short time, but we also need you to increase production on both factories and recruitment. We know you get bored and start getting in trouble, so we send you challenges on how much production you should do." Izuku asked, "Challenges?" Tamura said, "I came up with the idea, if you were wondering." Izuku smiled, "Tamura, you are getting smarter by the minute, it's almost scary." The three continued talks until they covered everything, which they are going to get a few more people to ally with them to make the league even more powerful. Izuku got warped to his warehouses to check the Nomu lab labeled Tedeum and the Kai's second factory, then went to his personal warehouse to check his computer for the challenges that he is given. The first challenge is to recruit at least 300 recruits, quirked or quirkless. Make about 5 shipping containers, the big metal ones, of the quirk erasing bullets and drags, and 20 nomus by the end of the week. Izuku chuckled, "This is the first challenge, this is child's play to me." 3 days later, Izuku sent the emails to the three saying the first challenge is done, which the three responded. Sensei wrote, "That was faster than expected, well I need 50 nomus in 1 week." Kai wrote, "Excellent, I need triple that in 1 week." Tamura wrote, "How's? Well here's a challenge, 1,000 recruits in 1 week." Izuku laughed, "Now that's a challenge." Izuku went to his grunts that work for him. Izuku hires the people who usually never get jobs in this world, which would be the quirkless and the mutant quirks people. He went check on them and told them the new goal, but told them they can have the rest of the day off. Izuku's grunts like Izuku because he doesn't discriminate and he is providing jobs for them. Also, he was a nice boss who knows how to increase production without overworking them. Selling illegal arms is his business, not Kai's or the League's, just his on-the-side business, which he loves the money flow he was getting. The League gets money from what Izuku, Jiren, and Sensei gives, and Kai gets money from the quirk erasing drags, which Izuku pays his grunts well because he wants to keep them working to keep his operation going. The grunts left and went to tell the other grunts that they also had the rest of the day off, which Izuku sat in his office calculating the sales and everything, then finished to head home. Izuku came home to find Melissa, Kyoka, and his mom at the dinner table. He looked at them to say, "I have so many questions, I don't know where to begin." The three got up to hug him and asked where he has been, which he explained the situation. His mom asked, "So, you're not going to go around cause trouble?" Izuku said, "I'll still be doing illegal stuff, but I wouldn't appear on the news for a while or be out on the streets either." Melissa asked, "So where do you work at so we can visit?" Izuku said, "I'll let Kurojiri allow you all to be warped there if you need something or visit." Kyoka asked, "Are you going to be gone for another few days?" Izuku said, "Oh yeah, I'll be gone for another few days, but I will let you three know that I'm all right and whatnot. But Kyoka, I would like to know how you got here and why you and Melissa are so familiar with my mom." Second day without Izuku. Miss Midoriya was worried about her son because he hasn't showed up for 2 days. It reminded her of the time he ran away. She was about to go out to see where he went. The door knocked. She opened it up to see a blonde, blue-eyed girl at the door, which she asked, "Can I help you?" The girl asked, "Is Izuku here?" Miss Midoriya looked at her. "No, but I'm his mother. Can I help you?" The girl said, "Hello, Miss Midoriya, I'm Melissa." Miss Midoriya realized who she was and teared up, "My little Izuku's girlfriend." Melissa came inside, which the two talked about Izuku when he was little, and Miss Midoriya showed baby pictures. Then they hear knocking on the door. Miss Midoriya opened the door to see a black-haired girl with earphone jack earlobes, which she asked, "Is Izuku here?" Miss Midoriya cried out, "My Izuku got 2 girlfriends." The girl got red, said, "No, it's not like that. I'm Kyoka, he saved me a couple times and I was coming to thank him." Which then she came inside, which they continued to discuss him, which the three calmed down after meeting each other and talking about Izuku. Which the three agreed that starting tomorrow they will start looking for him. The girls stayed for the night because Izuku is right about the RPSTS at night are more active. The next day they looked at his last known locations and looked up phone numbers in Izuku's phone book, but Gon explained which numbers they must never call under any situation. It was evening, which they were discussing what they found and what not until they saw a portal open and Izuku came out. Present. Izuku signed, "I'm sorry for worrying you three, but sometimes I have a lot of work. They are keeping me occupied, so I keep a low profile for a while." Which his mom made his favorite dish, which he was happy to see it. He then headed to the TV to see the news, which had Bakugo being the first quirkless hero in training, which Izuku grunted, "BSRD." Kyoka asked, "What's your problem with Bakugo?" Izuku told her, Melissa, and his mom about everything that Bakugo did to him when he was little, which left the three in shock because Miss Midoriya didn't believe what the teachers told her when Bakugo confessed what he did, but with Izuku revealing it to be true, she was in full rage at Bakugo. Melissa and Kyoka were angry that someone like Bakugo, who is getting praise and becoming a hero, did that to someone, which ended up making Izuku what he is today. The newsman then said, "Now for our latest poll, who will win in a fight, Bakugo, the quirkless hero, or Izuku Midoriya, also known as the Anarchist?" The poll is showing a split even tie. Izuku laughed his butt off. "What a bunch of idiots, I tell you. I wish I recorded Kaken getting his butt handed to by me when he had his quirk, and he is getting trained by Aizawa, which I shot him in the D with RBB bullets to win that fight with ease. How can he win in a fight with me?" The three were calming him down, which he did, and he said, "I'm sorry about that. I guess I will go get some sleep." He got in the shower to get him cleaned off, then headed to his bedroom to find Kyoka and Melissa naked on his bed. He pulled his "Do Not Disturb" sign on top of one of his shelves and said, Good thing this room is soundproof. He put the sign on the doorknob and locked the door to have himself a good night. Izuku woke up to find his girlfriends in his bed, which he smirked and thought to himself, "It's a good thing I got condoms under the pillow for things like this, but right now I'm not getting up." He got a phone call which he grabbed it to. Whisper, "Hello." Kurogiri on the other line said, "Your warp portal is ready." Izuku said, "Give me about 5 minutes." Kurogiri said, "Dabi wants to warp to your location to show you something." Izuku said, "Give me 5 minutes to get ready." Izuku heard Dabi say on the other end, "I'll help him up and it will be quick." Before could say anything, Kurogiri opened a portal to his room and Dabi came through to see Izuku with the girls in his bed. Dabi with wide eyes and his jaw on the floor in shock, and Izuku whispered, "Leave." Dabi struggled to move, which then Kurogiri on the phone asked, "Is everything all right?" Which the Kurogiri went through and gasped at the sight, which Izuku whispered, "Get the F out." Which the two were about to until Tamura accidentally walked in and saw it. He was about to scream, but Dabi tackled him back to the other side of the portal. Kurogiri whispered, "We are very sorry." They left, which Izuku managed to get out of the bed and got dressed to get warped to the base to see what Dabi want to show him. Izuku left an apology letter for the girls that he has to go back to work. Izuku walked into the portal, which he said, "Next time I say, give me 5 minutes, give me 5 minutes. I haven't had breakfast yet." Izuku got a bowl of cereal and he ate while Dabi showed Izuku that the heroes are on the streets and were panicked that Izuku hasn't shown himself in 4 days now. Izuku missed his usual Monday arrest, which the police were on edge that Izuku hasn't caused havoc in 3 days. Izuku chuckled, "If this is 4 days, imagine 4 weeks without me." The police station. The top 10 pro heroes with a almost fully healed All Might wear with the police chiefs of the cities Izuku terrorizes, other officers, and the mayors of said cities. The chief of Hosu said, "So we all know why we are here?" All the heroes nodded, which Nizu appeared to turn on the TV screen to begin the presentation. Nizu said, "Izuku Midoriya, also known by most as the Anarchist, is an S-class villain who doesn't like governments of any kind and fights for quirkless and mutant rights movements. He is loved by the quirkless and has fans all across the world because he shows the world that the quirkless can beat quirked heroes and villains with hard work. He is known for causing havoc, but he hasn't killed a single person in his entire villain career. He has injured many heroes and others. He is wanted for his many crimes, questioning of other supervillains, and to help the government with how to regain the minds of the quirkless. He has caused the quirkless population from committing suicide to causing crimes like him, which the government want him to help convince the quirkless population to stop both suicides and crimes. Endeavor huffed at the last part because he didn't care about the quirkless, which Nizu continued. He has been missing for 4 days now, which means he or the people he works for or with plan something big. The heroes were on edge by the statement because Izuku has done a lot of things that were big, but when they realize it, they were an everyday thing to him. Now he is going even bigger. One of the mayors said, "That is why we need to find him to stop what he is planning before he reappears with what he reveals." The heroes nodded and they began their investigation in the disappearance on Izuku Midoriya, which they were going to catch him this time, or so they thought. Izuku's warehouse. Izuku got back from checking the progress of the latest challenge, which Izuku was going to get it done 1 day earlier if his grunts continue the good work. He was getting bored from accounting and overseeing the progress, which he looked at his outfits. He had a villain outfit for everything, and every hero has seen most of them except one outfit. His first outfit he never wore, it was when he started working for Kai. It was a Black Plague Doctor outfit complete with the hat, red lens goggles, and cane. He didn't wear it because it was a little too much and summertime was beach if he wore it. He looked at it and thought to himself, what if I modified it? Izuku took the outfit to the table and started designing a brand new version of it to be bulletproof, element-proof, and can handle All Might's Detroit Smash. Then a portal opened, which Melissa came out, which Izuku said, "Hey there." Melissa came up to kiss him, which he said, "Love you too." She said, "I brought your lunch." She handed him his lunch and looked at his new suit design to ask, "What is this for?" Izuku said, "I had an old suit that I wanted to modify when I want to use it again, but it's outdated." Melissa made her design, which amazed Izuku. She said, That is how I would modify it. Izuku asked, you do know you stuff, I almost forgot about your dad used to make support items and suits for All Might. Then Izuku looked at it, I guess I will take it to the shop to get my guys to make it, you want to come? Melissa nodded, which Izuku and her went to Cybus. Izuku said, the word means food, but really it's a workshop for items and torture chambers for getting information out of people. Melissa asked, why did you call it food? Izuku said, well, I can't call it workshop or torture chambers because I want to confuse people. Also, everyone here who works for me is either quirkless or has a mutant quirk, just letting you know in advance. After showing her the workshop and the people who work for him, he watched her and a few others work on his new outfit, which after an hour the suit was now ready. It was a black futurist plague doctor suit with a steel gray mask with red lens. Izuku put it on, which the suit increased his strength and speed. The cane that came with acted like his taser baton. The suit was bulletproof and elemental proof, but most importantly it can take All Might's most powerful punch 3 times. Izuku put it on to try it out. He felt the speed he gained and the strength, which Izuku was enjoying it. He was now thinking about going out on the street to beat up some heroes and some thugs, which he decided that no one will recognize him. So he brought Melissa back to his apartment and head out to kick some, but as the lone, black kick-ass. Izuku was still working on the name, but he wanted to kick some but with this new suit, which as he jumped from building to building thinking about how this reminds him of his first appearance. He saw some thugs robbing some couple, which he thought, how cliché. He jumped due to knock out the leader, then taste the others, which he tipped his hat to the couple and ran off without a word. He then saw a lady, which he thought, swiggity swoody, I'm coming for the booty. He jumped down to hit her on the head, then tossed her to keep her down, then drag her to the door of the nearby cat cafe, then put her in the cat corner and cover her in cats. He took a picture, then hallied, but to continue his mayhem, he forgot to mention he wanted a voice changer for the suit but thought he might not say a thing to make himself a silent prankster. Izuku then had an idea for his name, the Silent Trickster. He went to the police station to spray paint his new villain name on it. The heroes and police were shocked by how bold this new villain was, which Izuku ran off throwing smoke bombs and flashbangs behind him. Izuku escaped and got back to his warehouse to check the progress reports of the production and hid the suit somewhere so Kai or Sensei doesn't find it. Izuku then thought about getting Melissa to upgrade all of his suits when she has time, because the new suit was amazing to him. He turned on his TV to see the news, which they were talking about, the Silent Trickster, which Izuku got a call from Sensei. Izuku picked it up. Hello, this is Izuku. Sensei said, well, you have found a loophole. Izuku said, I was testing out a new suit, don't worry, it wouldn't happen again. Sensei said, we're not mad, actually we will let you run around as the Silent Trickster, but you must keep up production and not get caught. Izuku said, I can do that. Sensei ended the call, which Izuku chuckled, well, I'm going to abuse this loophole. The next day Izuku got Melissa to upgrade his current Anarchist suit while he went out to do some trouble, which Izuku had a genius idea when he reveals the Silent Trickster as the Anarchist, which started going to Tartarus to find weak spots and shifts while he was out causing problems. Izuku was jumping building to building until felt a punch, but it did nothing to him, which he turned to find Mirio, which Izuku jabbed Mirio with the cane, but the cane went through. The two jumped back, which Mirio said, Trickster, your appearance may have been yesterday and you are already been classified as a B-ranked villain. Izuku thought, hold up, I'm a now AB rank in one day, now that escalated quicker than I thought. Mirio continued, what do you have to say for yourself? Izuku just shrugged, then got into a fighting stance. Mirio asked, you have nothing to say? Izuku nodded at him, which Mirio charged, which Izuku started dodging attacks because Izuku was waiting for him to catch his breath. Mirio started using OFA at 40%, which hit Izuku but did nothing to Izuku. Izuku took the chance to tase him. Izuku started running until Mirio came back to use OFA at 50%, which Izuku turned around to take it, which the punch wasn't going to harm him, so Izuku tossed and peppered sprayed him, which Izuku hallied, but Izuku was extremely happy about this suit's ability to take some damage and he could hardly feel it. Then Mirio yelled, Bubble Girl, get him. Izuku thought, he's. Mirio brought big blue ties to the battle. Bubble Girl got in front of him, which she started to release some bubbles at him, but he shrugged and dropped kicked her, and though I'm wearing a gas mask, why didn't you just use hand-to-hand combat? Izuku tipped his hat and continued to run, which he heard, "Get him, Mirko." Izuku thought, hold up. Why are they bringing the number 6 pro hero, remember she becomes number 5 after All Might retires, to catch a B-ranked villain? Mirko landed in front of him, which he knew he was screwed, so he dropped a flashbang between them. Mirko covered her ears and closed her eyes, which Izuku had the outfit protect him from flashbangs and All Might, so this was the easy win. Izuku then tossed her in the gut, peppered sprayed her, and drop-kicked her, then continued to run. Izuku finally escaped to head to the sewage system to get back to the warehouses, which he was glad that his mask filtered out the smell. Izuku finally got back to the warehouse to do some work, which the news revealed the silent trickster was now an A-class villain, which Izuku said, "In 2 days, I went from doing this work to becoming other villain that is now an A-class villain. This is true grinding." Izuku finished up his reports to check on night shift staff and then continued to do more paperwork on how much supplies they were going to need. To the world, the Anarchist is planning something big, but the silent trickster is distracting the world from what the Anarchist was really doing. Izuku then went to the workshop make weapons of certain villains who are certainly in Tartarus, which Izuku chuckled, "Now we will have party and the recruitment will be more exciting than I usually bring in." Dabi's birthday and the plan. Bored. One more chapter before we work on the others. Sleepy. Okay, one more then we work on the others. You make it look like we are rushing this. Bored. Yes. But you know we aren't rushing it. This Izuku does the craziest sheet and we love him for that. We are going to have more than our usual 15 chapters. Sleepy. How many are we doing again? Bored. How many slices of beard have you ate in your life? Sleepy. We are not making that many. Bored. Okay, but more than Sleepy and Bored shook hands. Izuku woke up in his warehouse after completing another challenge. He checked his phone, which instantly reads, Dabi's birthday. Izuku with wide eyes said, "What am I going to do?" Izuku looked at the TV to see the top 10 pro heroes on the news, which Izuku chuckled. I have an idea. Todoroki residence. Endeavor was at the gym part of the house trying to hopefully get stronger to surpass All Might or live long enough to surpass him. His daughter, Fuyumi, said, "Dad, there is a reporter out here who want to speak with you." Endeavor's real name is Enji, which he went to the door to see what the reporter wanted. The reporter had blue hair and gray eyes but was short. The reporter asked, "Mr. Todoroki, or can I call you Endeavor?" Enji grunted, "What is it?" The reporter said, "I'm here to get your option about you becoming the number 1 hero." Enji shocked, "What did you say?" The reporter smiled, "You are the number 1 hero by popular vote and I want your opinion on the matter. Can we head to my office?" Enji smiled, "Yes, let me get ready." The reporter came in while Enji got changed, which the reporter talked with Fuyumi for a little bit until Enji came back fully dressed. Enji got in the reporter's black Tesla, which the reporter gave Enji a drink. After 1 minute, Enji blacked out. Izuku smiled, "This is just too easy." Warehouse Cybus. Izuku was walking with Dabi, who was blindfolded. Then Izuku said, "Okay Dabi, you can take that silly thing off." Dabi took it off and the two stood in front of a door, which Izuku thought to himself, "Time to pull an Ellen DeGeneres here." Izuku looked at Dabi, "I heard you like Endeavor." Dabi looked at him, "Izuku, you didn't." Izuku opened the door to reveal Enji but naked, strapped to a chair with a birthday cake on his lap and multiple torture tools and other items surrounding him. Dabi jumped in the air in happiness like a 7-year-old, which he hugged Izuku. Izuku said, "I love you too, man, but you're killing me here." Dabi let go, which Izuku took Dabi to a book next to Endeavor, which Izuku said, "All the tools are labeled, and this book shows how each tool works and different ways you can torture people." Izuku picked up the Nutbuster, which he said, "This is the Nutbuster, which this is my favorite tool and I know it will be yours as well." Izuku left Dabi to also say, "Don't kill him, because this is part 1 and I need him alive to complete part 2. Dabi smiled, "No problem." Izuku closed the door to let Dabi have his fun, which he had to check on the latest Nomu that is about to done. Izuku checked at Warehouse Teideum to see high-end, and Izuku was amazed by this Nomu because it could think for itself and still followed orders. High-end looked at Izuku, "Are you my father?" Izuku in shock, I'm sorry but I'm not your father. That would be sensei. High-end asked, then what do I call you? Izuku smiled, you can call me Uncle Izuku. High-end asked, what am I, Uncle Izuku? Izuku then explained some stuff to High-end but not all of it, because Izuku doesn't know how High-end would react to everything that it takes to create him. I will refer High-end as a male because it. Izuku started to teach him to read, write, and accounting to see how he reacts, which Izuku saw how fast High-end was learning. Izuku then thought of a crazy idea and got on the silent trickster outfit and got on High-end's back to fly around the city. Izuku told High-end to not call him Uncle Izuku while wearing this outfit but to call him Trickster when he got in the outfit. Kamino Police HQ. The police were now in a mess. First Endeavor goes to some non-existent interview, Izuku is missing, and this new villain who goes by the silent trickster is causing havoc in Izuku's place. They needed a break in the case, which now they were forced to call Interpol for help. 2 Interpol agents came, in which the first was a British black hair and blue eyes man, then the second one was a blonde American woman with red eyes. The British said, hello, I'm George Holmes. The American said, I'm Sarah Smith. All the police officers there was glad that they were getting help until the doors fly open to reveal Trickster and High-end coming in. Trickster had cork erasing bullets to shoot nearby officers while High-end attacked officers, beat up heroes that came in, and destroying the building. Izuku saw the 2 Interpol agents and shot them both, which made them corkless but didn't kill them. Izuku then jumped on High-end and they flew off back to the warehouses, which Izuku taught High-end about his ideology and other stuff. High-end was confused on why people would discriminate on others, which Izuku said, I don't have an answer for that. People are complicated and sometimes stupid, but they can be redeemable at times. Izuku wrote down some notes on High-end's behavior and intelligences, then Izuku would send it to Sensei to look over. Izuku learned he had perfect memory, so Izuku took High-end to Warehouse Bibliotheca, which was a warehouse full of his quirk analysis of every hero, villain, vigilante, and people of interest. Which if High-end could memorize it, then anyone who crosses him are screwed. Izuku then took High-end to the Nomu factory after he read a few books on quirks of some heroes, which Izuku thought, I can't believe he learned to read and write in just 1 hour. As for accounting, he just learned the basics, which is fine. My curious is satisfied for now with High-end. I'm going to try more things. But Izuku gave High-end a huge collection of quirk analysis, which he will get High-end to continue to read them to help him the future. Then Izuku sat in his chair with the reports thinking. Izuku then mumbled, I feel like I forgot something. Izuku looked around to find the map of Tartarus to say, that's right. My plan to break some villains out of Tartarus. Izuku looked at the blueprints to mark a villains he will let out and which to leave there, because he did send some villains to Tartarus for being assholes. Izuku put out some lists in his warehouse for his grunts to see, which tells them who is going to go with him to transport the villains and help get them out. Izuku stopped after putting up the list to say, okay, what am I forgetting now? He stood there for a minute, then realized, Dobby. Yeah, Dobby should be done by now. He went to the torture room Dobby was at, which he opened it to find Dobby still torturing Endeavor, which Izuku shrugged and thought, or maybe not. Izuku got Dobby some food and said, take a break, torturing can make a man hungry and tired. Dobby looked at Izuku to realize he was right, then he took a short break for the food. Dobby asked, what is the second part? Izuku chuckled, you know what I got Sensei to do with my dad? Dobby smirked, I already love the idea. The two enjoyed their dinner, which Dobby asked, hey Izuku, why did you bang not only a girl you had about 3 dates with, give or take, and another girl you saved twice and don't know a thing about? Izuku smirked, what are you talking about? I read Kyoka's file and also I let things happen in my life. Dobby grunted the comment, then laughed a little bit. Izuku said, come on, you should go out with Toga. Dobby looked at him, you know she is about your age and I'm like in my mid-20s. Izuku said, age is nothing but a number. The two laughed a little bit, which Dobby said, I'm already destined for prison for multiple murders, but I'm not to prison for that. Izuku said, don't look at me, I'm not sticking my D in crazy. The two left Endeavor for a little bit to take a break from smell of blood to sit on some lawn chairs. Izuku said, in 2 days, I'm going to break a few villains out of Tartarus as I reveal that the newly infamous villain, Trickster, is actually me. I'm going to be like... Izuku stood up to say, "You thought Trickster was going to be some teen?" Izuku used his thumb to point at himself. "But it was me, Izuku Midoriya." Dabi asked, "Are you sure you are allowed to do that?" Izuku said, "If the rules on an hourly basis, I'm going to do it even if I'm not allowed to do it." Izuku sat down. "I need your help as well because of security and whatnot." Dabi smiled. "I'm down for that." Dabi asked, "Why hasn't my old man used his fire yet?" Izuku said, "I knocked him with a new formula of the quirk erasing drag that erases quirks and puts people to sleep." Dabi chuckled a bit. Then Izuku said, "Okay, I will let you go back your thing. Let me know when you are done, so Sensei can make a Nomu out of him." Dabi went back to Endeavor's room, which Izuku went to his personal warehouse for a quick nap. Kamino Hospital. The hospital was flooded with patients from the massacre on the police station that Trickster attacked earlier today, which the doctors were seeing a lot of police officers and even some pro-heroes were now quirkless. Nizu and the top 10 pro-heroes, except Endeavor, looked over the security footage of the station to see what happened. They saw Trickster and High End, who actually destroyed the place, and his quirks terrified the pros, which they were wondering who this Trickster was. As they discussed it, Nizu looked at the footages of all the Trickster appearances until Nizu saw it. Nizu said, "I have reason to believe that this Trickster is a fan of the Anarchist." The pros looked at him, which the two now quirkless Interpol agents came in, which George said, "Can you explain?" Nizu showed his footage of him fighting Mirio, Bubble Girl, and Mirko to say, he or she fights quirkless, carries around a cane that acts similar to the Anarchist taser baton, and doesn't hesitate to fight a woman. Mirko, still said from Trickster beating her butt, said, "You're right, the Anarchist wouldn't hesitate to do it, and he has many fans across the country and world. Since he is missing for 5 days now, this person must be thinking that they must cause havoc in his place." George looked at the evidence. "You are right, but look how he or she is taking punches. He or she must have a quirk to take those powerful punches that Lemillion is pulling." Sarah said, "Trickster might have been thought to be quirkless for a long time and everyone treated him or her like a quirkless person. Then when people realized that he or she indeed have a quirk, but it was too late for an apology." Hawks said, "Trickster was most likely inspirited by the Anarchist, which he or she share a similar pain, which with the Anarchist gone, there is no one to cause destruction." Everyone thought about it. George asked, "I have another theory." They looked at him, which he said, "My theory is that the Trickster might also be the Anarchist." They looked at him in shock. Nizu asked, "Why?" George showed the footage of the Anarchist and the Trickster side by side, then said, "Look at the fighting styles, they are too similar." Then Mirko, Bubble Girl, and Mirio reported no quirk besides some sort of shock absorption or shock nullification quirk, but look at the Anarchist. There was a clip of Izuku getting a punch from Mirio with 30% of OFA and Izuku took it like a boss. Then he said, "He may be quirkless but he is strong. He might have a suit to help him take more damage, and this Trickster is just nothing more than to shift our focus from his real plan." The heroes looked at this and realized he might be right, but the only way to know is to catch Trickster. The heroes and Nizu let the Interpol agents go back to rest. They then got out of the hospital to plan to find this Trickster and bring him to justice, as well as find Izuku to do the same. All Might was thinking about Izuku and how he created him to be this monster and how he inspires many quirkless people. All Might was seeing Bakugo train with Shinso under Aizawa to fight quirkless, but All Might knows that he wasn't ready to fight Izuku. Izuku can beat Bakugo in every way because Izuku has been quirkless his entire life. He had trained a lot longer than Bakugo. He defeated Bakugo, who had a powerful quirk. Izuku also without armor can take Mirio's 30% OFA punch and still fight. Bakugo was still learning to live his life as a quirkless person. When the news revealed that he could still walk because Izuku missed the spot, they were receiving threats from Izuku. Izuku doesn't do death threats. He wrote how he was going to make Bakugo ask for death instead. All Might was concerned for Bakugo, and with the news revealing him to be the first quirkless hero, it set Izuku off to no end. All Might could feel Izuku's rage. All Might thought, Something inside young Midoriya must have thought that he was supposed to be the first quirkless hero, but now his former childhood bully is getting the chance instead. I must find him and try to convince him to surrender himself. All Might was confused when it came to Izuku. It was his fault he ended up like this, but he has done a lot of wrong to where some people won't forgive him. Izuku hasn't killed a single person but injured them or made them quirkless. He still had hope for Izuku, but he needed to prove it to the world, which he, Mirio, and Nizu had the talk. Nizu agrees if Izuku was caught then he will be given a chance to make up for what he has done by becoming a hero, but he still has to do some stuff. Izuku's location. Izuku sneezed. Someone was thinking about making me a hero, probably Johnny Bravo. Izuku got up to stretch, then looked at the reports, then said, "We will finish the challenge early tomorrow morning." Well, I'm going to beat up Little D now to see how good this quirkless hero really is. Izuku looked at the trickster outfit to look at the new modification he hasn't used yet, the sword that came of the cane. Izuku took the sword to a scarf that was exactly like Eraserhead's scarf to slice it clean, which Izuku chuckled. Just testing, now time to test it on Bakugo, or should I call him Bakago? Izuku got the outfit on and headed to UA to give Bakugo a good beatdown. Everyone was fast asleep, and the lights were off in every building. Well, one person wasn't sleeping yet. That person was Bakugo, which he has been training harder to beat the shit out of Izuku when he sees him again. Izuku looked out from a few yards to see him training, which he thought to himself, sloppy, just sloppy fighting in general. Izuku pulled out a new device he had his grunts working on, the EMP grenade. The grenade was supposed to make an EMP to take out power from a 1-mile radius for 3 hours. Which Izuku pulled the pin, then threw it over the walls of UA, which it activated in midair, which Izuku jumped the wall to land on feet. Izuku looked around to see Bakugo, who was now looking at him. Bakugo then used his scarf on Izuku, which Izuku grabbed the scarf to then pull Bakugo toward him. Bakugo ran to him to throw a punch at him, but Izuku grabbed his hand to punch him in the face. Bakugo asked, "What do you want, you bastard?" Izuku was the slyant trickster right now, so he just pointed at him with his finger, which Bakugo shouted, "I'm not giving up without a fight." Izuku tossed him with the cane, then beat him up with said cane, until he looked over to see Shoto Todoroki. Izuku dropped a smoke grenade to then climb over the wall to run away, which Izuku thought, he is causing a problem, but I believe he could be a great villain when Tamura and Dabi talked to him. Which after a few blocks he got hungry, which he just walked into a dinner to order some food and drinks. He took off the bottom part of his mask to eat and drink, which people around him looked at him, that he just walked in like he was a normal person. Izuku wasn't going to say a word about it because he didn't give a single F-. Then a person sat in front of him. Izuku looked up to see Midnight, which she said, "Well, look who we have." Izuku raised his index finger as a sign of let him eat before he will deal with your sheet. Midnight said, "Indeed a rude little Shota here." Izuku shrugged, which Midnight asked, "Can you speak?" Izuku nodded in a sign of yes. Midnight glared at him, "But you don't want to." Izuku put his thumbs up to let her know she was right. She sighed, "You remind me of the Anarchist, but if he didn't talk. Are you a fan of his or something?" Izuku shrugged, which didn't help Midnight in the slightest, which he was just trolling her at this point. Izuku quickly got his mask on to prepare for a fight, which Midnight looked at him. "Trick question, do you hate the quirked or the government?" Izuku nodded in a yes motion, which still didn't help her answer, which she got up, but Izuku dropped a flashbang and ran off. Izuku didn't feel like fighting Midnight today, as much fun it sounds. He liked to fight her as the Anarchist so they can talk so dirty that the TV reports would just be bleeps on the entire conversions. It was a competition to see who was freakier or dirtier than the other really, which Izuku found the conversion between the two funny as hell. But he had to be careful sometimes because one time he mentioned how would he love to be a part of her dungeon, and a sheet ton of fanfics of him and her were made by the people who were watching in their fight on the streets. One of those fanfics was made by Toga, which he found disturbing yet so interesting to not look away from. Izuku came back to the warehouses to finally look at the final steps of completing the latest things of the challenge, which he looked at it then said, "Okay guys, after this one, we are done with these challenges and we can go back to our normal production." They cheered a little bit, then he went to check on Dabi, who was still torturing Endeavor, which Izuku though to himself, "I think my gift to Dabi was too good, but Endeavor will still be used in Part 2. Izuku went to his office bed to sleep and call it a day, which he was exciting to pull his stunt. Izuku's warehouse. Izuku shouted, "Let's go people, we got only one shot at this." Izuku was finally off the hiding PRD, so he will do his plan of breaking out a few villains. He already had a list of who to let out. Izuku grabbed the list and he got both his silent trickster and his new Anarchist outfits to prepare for the show. The grunts loaded up the cameras and EMP equipment to cause a blackout on Tartarus. Izuku smiled at Dabi as he brought with him the newest big red Nomu. Izuku asked, "What's his name?" Dabi smirked. Izuku loved it because the only thing Endeavor had ever known in his life is how to be number 2, which Izuku looked at a truck coming in. Izuku looked in the truck to find his green Nomu, his father, which Izuku called him Deadbeat. Izuku looked at Dabi. "Okay, we got 250 men, 2 Nomus, high-end me and you, what are we missing?" Dabi looked over to say, "Toga and Spinner are coming as well." Izuku said, "Okay, I can't the 4 of us in the roadster. Guess we will take the Firebird." Dabi asked, "Firebird?" Izuku went to his personal warehouse to reveal a black 1977 Pontiac Firebird Trans Am, the same one from Smokey and the Bandit, with a Firebird logo on the hood. Dabi couldn't stop looking at it. Izuku said, "I hope to God, this better not get destroyed or scratched by this stunt." Toga and Spinner arrived, which they looked at the car for a while until Izuku said, "Okay, now get in." The 4 got in the car, which Izuku led the many trucks to Tartarus to cause the biggest stunt Izuku has probably done in his career. Tartarus. Izuku looked at the prison and said, "Okay everyone, turn off the vehicles and start up the EMPs." The grunts turned off the vehicles, which then a few trucks had a device which they turned it on to cause an EMP to turn off the power anywhere in a 10-mile radius. Izuku smiled and said, "Load up and let go, release some bad guys." They drove up to the prison, which Izuku stopped at the checkpoint outside the prison, which the guard said, "What are you here for?" Izuku pulled out his gun to shoot the guard in the head with a few RBB bullets. He got out of the car to push a button to let him and his entire army in. Izuku drifted in, which Dabi came out to roast the guards. Spinner and Toga went wild. Deadbeat was ordered to take out the guards. Dabi ordered 2 to roast up some guards with him, and the grunts shot up the place. Izuku got to the control room of the prison, which when the grunts fixed up the power so Izuku could start the show, Izuku looked at the cameras to say, "Start rolling." The top pro heroes, Interpol agents, Nizu, Sir Night Eye, and Mirio. Everyone was now wondering where the hell Endeavor is at, where Izuku was at, and who is this silent trickster. Then the TV changed channels to show the trickster himself. Everyone looked at the screen, which the trickster held a big card which reads, "Hello everyone, today I'm going to do a face reveal to you all today. Trust me, you never see it coming." Trickster then took his mask to reveal Izuku Midoriya, which he said, "You thought Trickster was going to be someone else." Izuku pointed at himself with his thumb to continue, "But it was me, Izuku Midoriya, the Anarchist. Now that I revealed myself, I would like the heroes to know that I'm at Tartarus breaking people out. Stop me if you can. Hee hee." Everyone dropped everything, which the heroes ran out of the building to go to Tartarus to stop Izuku from freeing some of the worst villains locked up in that place. Tartarus. Izuku took the microphone on the desk to say, "Hello my fellow villains, I'm the Anarchist. Hopefully you all have heard of me. If you don't, you are about to watch me in action. I'm here to break some of you out to help the League of Villains and the Shai Hasaikai. For those who aren't getting out, you know why." Izuku started letting villains out and checking people off his list, which then he got to the last villain, Toxic Chainsaw. Izuku's grunts guided the newly released villains to their new weapons that Izuku's grunts have made, then they got in the trucks to head back to base. They were off the bridge, but the military and pro heroes have arrived to ambush them. Izuku drove his car to hide behind one of the big trucks. Izuku yelled in his radio, "Scatter!" The villains in the truck started using their quirks to fight off the heroes and military, which the grunts were shooting quirk erasing bullets and normal bullets to fight them. Izuku and his gang drove off because that sheet. Izuku already won in the end. He got the villains out of Tartarus and he broke in, which he gave everyone the locations of where to meet if the situation happened, and they escaped. Izuku saw some military cars chasing them, which Dabi started shooting his blue flames at them to melt the cars. Izuku then drifted his way back to the warehouses, which the four got out, which Izuku said, "That could have gone better." Dabi said, "Maybe next time, don't mention your location." Izuku said, "I wanted some entertainment, but that was a little much. But now I wait for who didn't get caught and warp them here." Izuku then did some paperwork while the grunts who didn't go to the prison worked on stuff, which Izuku was glad to bring only a quarter of his workforce to the event. Izuku looked at his watch to see the time. He got up to go to the front of his personal warehouse, which multiple grunts and villains he freed appeared. Izuku then counted the grunts and villains, which came out to 190 grunts and 50 out of the 100 villains he freed. Izuku smiled. "This is better than I expected from that ambush. Well, Sensei and Kai would be proud." The pro-heroes, Interpol, and police. They looked what happened to the prison, the EMP, the army that came in, the villains that escaped, and the three Nomus. High-end, Izuku's dad, and this newest one that followed Dabi. On closer look it looked like Endeavor, which they stopped and were horrified that they turned Endeavor into a Nomu. They were now going to capture Izuku because everyone knows that he gets bored then goes out to cause trouble. Izuku never stays out of the public's eye for long. He loves to cause trouble, and he loves to test the system in almost an act of revenge against the government who caused the quirk hierarchy. George's theory of Trickster being Izuku was correct, which means Izuku was wearing out the heroes and authorities just to do his biggest stunt, which led to 50 supervillains escaping successfully. Everyone was now wondering what he can possibly do next. He was a chaotic teen who did have a code to live by, which he didn't kill but he can injure. Mirio looked at Izuku's picture and thought about every fight they had, how he smiled at every single one of their fights, and certain other heroes smiled at, but most heroes he didn't smile at. Mirio then thought, what if he has certain people he likes to fight and people he doesn't want to fight? Could he want to attack the heroes he likes for his entertainment and beat up the ones he hates more brutally? Mirio looked at all recorded fights of Izuku with pro-heroes to find that there was fights he smiled, and he and some looked annoyed, which the interactions were also different as well. For the ones he smiled, he planned to fight them, was prepared for them, and talked a lot. As for the annoyed, he was less prepared, but he still had a plan for them, like he was annoyed by their existences, and didn't talk much. Mirio quickly made a list of the heroes, which he concluded that this were the heroes Izuku loved to fight or respected. The list included himself, Eraserhead, Midnight, somehow Ms. Joke, every single member of the Wild Pussycats, Present Mike, Ingenium, and for some reason All Might. Mirio concluded that Izuku must still respect All Might in a sense, or he just loved reminding All Might of his greatest mistake. Mirio looked at the list and thought to himself, I know this is a long shot, but these are the people he will attack when he shows himself again. Izuku's a few days after. Prison break. It's been a few days since the prison break, which he showed the villains the alliance of the League and Overhaul, which AFO looked at Izuku like a proud father looked at his son. But Izuku hasn't reappeared because he had his dates with his two ladies and maybe some R&R with them. But they haven't come back saying he was going to be the father, so he felt lucky. Right now, he was helping his mom keep calm that he wasn't going to be arrested or getting taken away from her, as well as teaching Gon about money flow in the underworld and why you should bank accounts in Jamaica and other places instead of some bank nearby in Japan. Then Izuku went to the warehouses to give high-end more quirk analysis notes for him to read, then looked at his equipment to say, time for my reappearance. I guess Mirio will be my target, or will it be Aizawa? Izuku got his new and improved Anarchist suit and equipment to go cause a riot, which he got warped to somewhere near Mirio's location to fight him. The truth was that Izuku liked Mirio because they are similar to each other. Mirio was born with a flawed quirk that could kill him, and he was inspired by All Might to become a hero. Izuku was born without a quirk and was inspired by All Might as a child before his dreams were crushed. What the two had in common, besides All Might, was they worked hard to make their flaws into a strength and improve themselves to become powerful people. Izuku likes Mirio because he is the only one who knows what's it like to start off the world as a laughingstock and is now well respected because of hard work. Mirio did see Izuku as a rival, which Izuku was honored that someone took him seriously right from the start, which they have fought each other before the underworld ring bust. Izuku still remembered the first interaction like it was yesterday, which is a story that he will never forget. 2 years ago, Izuku was a C-class villain who works for Kai, but this was a time when he called him boss. Izuku used his breaks to sell information, beat up thugs, and cause trouble. Right now he was setting the police chief's car on fire. Izuku, in one of his early outfits, which was a green trench coat with a black lens gas mask and black dress shirt and briefs. He wore his red timbers because he needs shoes to run with and his dress shoes are not going to cut it. As he watched the fire grow he heard, "Stop right there, villain." He turned to find Mirio as an intern with some hero accompanying him, which Izuku asked, "Who are you, young hero?" Mirio said, "I'm Lemillion. I'm going to be a hero who will save 1 million lives by the time I retire." Izuku looked at Mirio to shoot a RBB bullet at him, but it went through him and hit the pro heroes, who was behind Mirio, which Izuku chuckled. "Careful now, Lemillion, a true hero would take that RBB bullet." Mirio, who was caring for the hero, looked at Izuku to ask, "RBB bullet?" Izuku said, "I'm not a killer, just letting you know. Also, I'm the Anarchist. Nice to meet you. I hope we meet each other again. Lemillion, I also hope one day you reach that goal of yours." It sounds honorable, which I like it because it is indeed very heroic, unlike most heroes these days. Izuku dropped a smoke grenade then disappeared from the scene, leaving Mirio to take care of the hero when it was interning for, who got shot in the D by a RBB bullet. Present. Izuku smiled at the happy memory. They looked down the street to find Mirio patrolling the area, which Izuku smirked. He looks bored. I guess it's time to give him entertainment for his hard work as a hero. Izuku smiled as he walked out the alley to yell, "Lemillion!" Mirio turned around to see Izuku to yell back, "Anarchist!" Izuku pulled out his plain baseball bat and taser baton, which Mirio got in his fighting stance, which the two stared down each other. Then someone who was watched dropped their pen, which the two charged at each other to begin their fight. Dabi and Izuku were walking to around the streets to find some trouble in get involved with. Izuku noticed a flower store that wasn't there before. Izuku said, "I'm going to get some flowers for my mom and girlfriends." Dabi chuckled, "I will get some for my mom as well, because I might see her soon." The two walked into the shop to find a man in a suit assaulting a silver-haired woman about 2 years older than Izuku, which Izuku quickly came up behind the man to knock him out. Another agent came out to shoot Izuku, but Dabi roasted him with his flames, which the woman said, "Thank you, strangers." Izuku smiled, "No problem." Dabi smiled, "We saw you were in trouble, so we came to help out. Now I'm going to cremate these guys." The woman shocked, "No, wouldn't you go to prison for doing that?" Izuku and Dabi laughed, which Izuku said, "We are villains, we are destined for prison as soon as we are found." The woman said, "I thought villains just go around killing, taking things, and causing havoc." Dabi said, "Those are monsters, which heroes and villains can be monsters like that. But me and Izuku have standards. I don't kill innocents and I like to go after fake heroes or the heroes that are monsters." Izuku said, "I cause havoc, but I don't kill in general, and I want to prove to the world that a quirkless nobody like me can beat the quirked. That my kind are not a useless waste of space and time." The woman was in awe, which she said, "I'm Maria, I'm new to this place." Izuku said, "I'm Izuku Midoriya, also known as the Anarchist." Dabi said, "I'm Dabi, just Dabi." Dabi took the two guys out back to cremate the two suited men, which Izuku asked, "Why were those two attacking you and your shop?" Maria said, "I don't know if I could tell you that." Izuku said, "I'm a man of my word, I won't tell a soul about this." Then an older woman with white hair about Dabi's age came in the view, which she said, "We can trust them, Maria. We will tell you, but we want to wait for your friend to come back in and ask for your help fixing something." Izuku nodded, which Dabi came back in to see the older woman with white hair, which he said, "Hello there, miss?" The older woman replied, "Elena." Then the two were taken to the back to a room, which Maria closed the door behind them, which the lights turned on to reveal a broken ship. Izuku asked, "Dabi, are you seeing a spaceship of some sort?" Dabi said, "Yeah." Izuku asked, "What did we take before we headed out today?" Dabi said, "We had coffee and stolen donuts. You stole from the police." Elena said, "You do not have any drags in your system. You are seeing our ship that we have crashed here with." The two looked at them, which they revealed their real forms, which the two were scared but equally interested in. They turned back into their human forms, which Maria smiled. I bet you two have some questions? Izuku asked. Can you start from the beginning? The two told their story that they came to Earth to learn about the quirk evolution because they were developing it as well. They wanted to know if having quirks were okay to live with, which so far, their results are showing that quirks are bad for society, but they were shot down by the Japanese government to be captured. Dabi asked, what are you going to do with your quirked people when you come back with these results? Elena said, we will sadly sterilize our quirked society, which will hopefully stop the quirks. Izuku said, what did you two see to prove if quirks are bad for society? Maria said, we looked for crime increases, destruction increase, and civil rights, which we saw a lot of crime and property increases, but the civil right were okay, we guess. Elena said, you're the anarchist, which you are one of this country's most wanted villains because you are against the government, and you are popular with the quirkless because you are quirkless. Izuku smirked. You see, we have had quirks for so long the world looked at my kind as a waste of life in general, which when I was younger, I was bullied a lot and the quirkless population committing suicide was high. The two aliens looked at Izuku in sadness. Izuku continued, I wanted a quirk when I was younger, but then one day I fought back against my bullies. I lost that fight, but it sparked something within me. I started going to underground fight rings to improve myself, which I got strong and learned different fighting styles. When my hero told me I couldn't be a hero, I didn't commit suicide. Instead, I looked at the government to find they were the ones who caused the oppression against my kind. The aliens were taken back by this. Izuku continued, when quirks came to the world, governments oppressed the quirks, which when it became a norm, the quirks oppress what's left of the quirkless as revenge, but I have no proof of this. I believe governments of any kind are wrong because they oppress people no matter what. Elena asked, you believe in no government. What would happen if there is no government? Izuku smirked. People will live by their own moral code, they will choose what is right and wrong. They will eventually live in peace by their own shared moral codes. Maria asked, what about you, Dabi? What do you think of quirks? Dabi told his story, which he answered the question. I believe that there will always be people who will strive for power, which they will do anything for. But I believe that what the person who has a quirk can decide how they will help society with it, even if they are labeled as a villain. Elena looked at Maria to say, I think we might allow quirks, but it will take time to fully accept them like your society has. We will work to make a government to treat those with quirks and quirkless can treat each other as equals. Izuku and Dabi nodded, which Izuku asked, I will bring my grunts to come to get it fixed. Izuku picked up the phone to call Kurogiri to warp a few of Izuku's grunt to fix the spaceship. Izuku told his grunts, okay guys, we need this thing fixed. No questions, just look at the blueprints for each part and get working. The grunts shrugged as they got to work, which Dabi and Izuku took the two aliens around the city to show them the beauty of Japan because the aliens never actually took the time to look at Japan. Izuku took Maria around the beach while Dabi took Elena around Tokyo. Izuku and Maria ran around beach enjoying the sun, which Izuku took a surfboard to show her his tricks. Izuku was absolutely showing off his surfing trick, which Maria was amazed with. Then she showed her a cat cafe with all the cats and whatnot. The two then came across Eraserhead, which he said, Anarchists, stay away from the girl. Izuku shouted, I'm not raping her. You know I beat up RPSDS at night, are you jealous I get more women than you? Eraserhead charged at Izuku, which he ran up to throw some sand in his eyes, which Izuku said, pocket sand. Then as Eraserhead rubbed his eyes, Izuku tossed him and took Maria's hand to then run away. When they got a safe distance, Izuku said, I'm sorry about that. Maria giggled, it's okay, you're a villain and that is an occupation hazard. Izuku looked at her, I know right. Then Izuku got a phone call from Dabi, which Dabi said, I need your help Izuku, we are on our way to you. The suits are coming. Izuku hung up to say, I'm going to bring a few nomus. Maria was confused because she didn't know what a nomu was, which Kurogiri warped about 5 nomus, which Izuku watched for Dabi and Elena. When Izuku saw the two in a car, Izuku told the nomus to attack anyone chasing Dabi and Elena. The nomus attacked the cars and vehicles behind Dabi and Elena, which Dabi stopped the car to let Izuku and Maria in. They drove back to the shop which the ship was fully fixed, which Izuku wrote down the names of the grunts to say, "None of you say a word about this and you all get a raise, deal?" The grunts swore on the lives that they wouldn't tell anyone about this and got warped back to the warehouses. Dabi and Elena were talking to each other for a little bit, which Elena kissed Dabi, then headed to the ship, which Izuku was in shock, which Maria said, "Thank you Izuku for showing me the beach and cat cafe." Izuku chuckled, then gave her a book. This book is for a game some people play on this world. It's a game that involves imagination and strategy. I hope your people will love it. Maria looked at the book, which reads, Dungeons and Dragons, which he said, in the alignments page, I was inspired by the chaotic neutral alignment. I hope it will entertain your friends back on your planet. Maria giggled, I'm real sure it will. I hope we will meet each other again. They hugged, then Maria got in the ship, which Elena said, we would like to say thank you for helping us to full understand quirks and get us home. We will go back to our planet to convince people to let quirks exist with our people to help advance ourselves. We left you too some of our technology for you to use and whatever you want. Izuku and Dabi waved at them, which they hear people coming in, which Izuku yelled, we've got this, you two escape from here. Izuku and Dabi saw the tech they were talking about, which Izuku got in a suit of armor marked Power Armor X01, which Izuku said, that looks fun. Izuku got in the power armor to then pick up a laser Gatling gun, then looked at Dabi, who had some light alien armor with 2 alien blasters, from Fallout New Vegas, which they walked to shoot up the men in suits and the military. Izuku said, you know I don't like to kill people, but today I'm going to have to break that rule to fulfill my pleasure of our alien friends to escape. Izuku and Dabi started to flame and shoot up the enemies, which they saw the ship leave, but an anti-air unit started to lock on the ship. Izuku looked at one of the grenades given to him labeled, Holy Hand Grenade. Izuku shrugged as he threw it at the unit. The grenade destroyed the unit and buildings surround it, which Izuku got in front of Dabi to protect him. After the aftermath, the two looked at the ship to wave at it, which then the ship zoomed off into space. Izuku said, Dabi. Dabi asked, yeah? Izuku said, we are not reporting this to anybody. Dabi said, I'm not telling anybody, not even on my deathbed. Izuku said, let's getting this to my best engineers to make more for us and improve our current tech with this. Dabi nodded in agreement, which they walked away with the tech, and Izuku asked, did you smash? Dabi smirked, perhaps. Izuku yelled, and you shame me for smashing girls I just met with? The two walked in Kurogiri warp portal, laughing as they went into Izuku's personal warehouse. The two charged at each other, which Izuku swung his baton at Mirio, which went through him. Mirio used OFA at 45% to punch Izuku in the gut, which Izuku whacked Mirio on the head, which Mirio stumbled back. Mirio was bleeding from his head, which Izuku was on the assault to swing both bat and baton at Mirio. Mirio was getting hit by both, but he used his quirk to finally get his footing to attack Izuku. Mirio used 55% of OFA to punch Izuku in the face, which Izuku used his arm to protect his face. Mirio's punch didn't injure Izuku at all, which Izuku smirked as he flipped a SW on his wrist. Izuku's suit electrified Mirio. Mirio jumped back to observe the new suit Izuku was wearing, which he asks, so your new suit protects you from my powerful punches and makes you a human taser? Izuku smirked, you are right, but the suit doesn't protect my face, which forces you to aim for my face. I did it on purpose to help me see your attacks and strategies. Mirio chuckled, if things were different, we would have made great friends. Izuku smiled, indeed we could have. Tell me, have you heard what the internet has been calling me lately? Mirio looked at him, the champion of the quirkless. Izuku scratched his head, I think I should make like a trophy or like a WWE belt with that written on it. Then the two charged at each other again. Mirio was looking for other weaknesses besides the head, while Izuku was swinging and blocking punches. Then Mirio punched the bat out of Izuku's hand, which Izuku dropped the baton to get in a boxer fighting style. Mirio started punching, but Izuku dodged every punch to then punch Mirio with speed. Mirio was seen as a skilled fighter by his peers, but Izuku was much more skilled because Izuku has been fighting longer than Mirio has. Mirio kind of expected Izuku to be more skilled, but this was skill that can rival an actual heavyweight boxer. Mirio finally got a good hit on Izuku, but he forgot Izuku's suit made him a steel electric punching bag. Izuku then found his opening, which he repeatedly punched Mirio in the gut and face so fast the bystanders couldn't keep up with the speed. Izuku then uppercut Mirio, which Mirio was still standing, which he did 65% of OFA to punch Izuku, which Izuku blocked the punch with his arms crossed. Mirio was getting set off by the suit that Izuku was wearing. Mirio flew back from one of Izuku's punches, which Mirio was getting tired, which All Might appeared to save Mirio. Izuku said, "There is my intended target. I have been planning this for a long time and now I am fully prepared for this." All Might asked, "Even this?" 20 pro heroes appeared to surround Izuku, which he chuckled, "Even this?" Then all of a sudden, a bunch of Izuku's grunts armed with quirk erasing bullets appear behind the heroes, which Izuku said, "Okay, here is the deal. Me and Blondie are going to fight. If you extras interfere with our fight, then you get shot up by my boys. Got that?" All Might looked at the heroes to stand down, which a warp gate appeared behind Izuku. The gate revealed a big green armor with 2 men rolling it to Izuku, which Izuku said, "Thank you, Gary. I know you do a good job with this, so I wouldn't let you or the rest of us quirkless down." Gary in shock, "You know our names?" Izuku grinned, "Of course, how else do you get your checks?" Izuku got in the armor, which he said, "Let's see how Power Armor X02 does against you, All Might." Izuku got in another fighting style to fight All Might, which then the two charged at each other. All Might did a Detroit Smash, which Izuku took it, which then Izuku punched All Might with more force than All Might's Detroit Smash. All Might flew back by a lot, which Izuku ran super fast to continue to beat up All Might. When All Might got up, Izuku grabbed him to punch him in the face. All Might then kicked Izuku, which Izuku flew back a little bit, but Izuku jumped in the air to slam on All Might. All Might was trying to figure out how to beat Izuku in this armor, which thought about that Nomu from the USJ, which he wanted to test if the suit might have a limit on how much punishment it could take. All Might pushed Izuku off of him to punch Izuku repeatedly, which Izuku started to do the same thing to make All Might reach his limit. The two were causing the earth to shake, which Izuku was looking at his punches and the dials in the suit that told him how much more his suit could take. All Might was feeling weaker by the second, which Izuku changed his fighting style to swipe All Might's legs to make him fall back. Izuku took advantage of All Might being in midair. Izuku then said, "Punching speed, IP man. Look up Ip Man where he beats the sheet out of 10 black belts, but skip to where he punches that one guy in the chest stupidly fast." Izuku then jumped up to punch All Might repeatedly in the chest at extreme speed, which everyone watched was shocked by the speed of the punches. All Might was in the air coughing up blood from each punch, which Izuku then grabbed him to slam to the ground. As the smoke cleared, Izuku was standing over All Might in his true form, which Izuku looked at the cameraman to say, "Hello world, I'm Izuku Midoriya, also known as the Anarchist. This is All Might's real form, believe it or not. I would like to answer the world's question on what his quirk is." All Might groaned, "Please, don't." Izuku said, "The name of his quirk is known as One for All, a quirk that the stockpiles energy and power that the user could pass to another person. Each generation it gets stronger, then when the user gets it to its limit, then they give it to some else, which then they make it stronger." Now here is what is funny, All Might was quirkless before he was given this power. The world was in shock by what Izuku was saying. Meanwhile, at the League's base and Kai's hideout, they were enjoying Izuku destroying the reputation of the #1 hero. Izuku said, "When I asked him if a quirkless nobody like me could be a hero, he said no. Now All Might is here laying in defeat by a quirkless nobody. To my quirkless brothers and sisters who have been thrown aside, abused, and left for dead, this is for you. This is to show the world that we are not useless, we are not less than human, and we are not a waste of life." Izuku grabbed All Might by the suit to say, "All Might, you are nothing but a traitor to the quirkless by abandoning your quirkless roots. You forgot about what it was like to be powerless like us. You will be seen as the traitor of the quirkless and the biggest liar in the world." Izuku threw him to the side like he was a trash bag, which Izuku said, "Also for my fellow quirkless, if your heroes, teacher, mentors, and parents tell you that you can't be a hero, villain, or anything in life, I'm here to tell you that you can be whatever you want as long as you work hard and never give up." Izuku then walked to the portal, which Mirio got up to say, "I will not give up so easily, Izuku." Izuku got out of his armor to take off his suit, which he was in nothing but a t-shirt and shorts. Izuku said, "I will defeat you with nothing but my raw strength. I have broken my bones, ripped my muscles, and been beaten until I lost consciousness. I became strong because I started out in this world weak and I had to become strong." Mirio said, "I share a similar story. We started off in this world as laughingstocks, but we worked hard to get where we are at." Izuku got in a fighting stance to then think about the words from a wise man he trained with one time: "To gain true strength, you must let go of your hatred." Izuku thought to himself, then took a deep breath. Then he looked at Mirio, whose fist was almost an inch from his face. Izuku ducked under the fist to punch Mirio in the gut 5 times. Mirio flew over to feel pain. Izuku turned to him, which Mirio covering his gut. "What was that?" Izuku smiled. "This is what happens when I let go of my hatred. Now I will beat you without a quirk." Mirio looked at Izuku to not see hatred or his nonsense in his eyes, but they were perfectly clear and empty, which terrified Mirio. Mirio charged at Izuku, which Izuku dodged his punches and waited for Mirio to catch his breath. Izuku dodged each punch until he saw his chance, which he kneed Mirio in the face, which Izuku started punching Mirio repeatedly as he was falling backwards to the ground. When Mirio landed on the ground, Izuku stopped, which Mirio started spazzing out of his control for a little bit. Izuku in concern checked his pulse and everything to say, "You're fine, I didn't injure you bad enough to force you to retire. You will just be in a lot of pain as soon as you wake up." The heroes, who still had guns pointed at them, and Izuku's grunts were in shock, which Izuku said, "Time to head back for a party, guys. You are all getting a raise." The grunts cheered, which Izuku, his power armor, and his grunts were warped back to his warehouses to party hard. The heroes ran to All Might and Mirio to get them to a hospital, because they were seriously injured. The warehouses. Izuku and everyone were partying, which Izuku got on the stage to say, "Today we have won, thanks your efforts we won't be here. So, everyone is getting a pay raise." Several shipping containers, big metal ones, behind Izuku opened up, which Izuku grabbed a few fat stacks to throw them while saying, "You're getting pay raise." Throws stack of cash, "You're getting a pay raise." Throws another stack, "You're getting a pay raise." Everyone here is getting a motherfucking pay raise. Izuku heard Kai say, "Izuku language, Eri is here." Izuku turned around to say, "I'm sorry, Kai." "I'm sorry, Eri." Izuku saw Sensei with the League, the rest of Kai's best men, his mom, Gon, and his girlfriends, which Izuku said, "I was wondering if you all were coming." Sensei chuckled, "Looks like someone is happy today." Izuku said, "I believe happy is an understatement, but thank you, Sensei." Tamura asked, "Where did you get that power armor, because Dabi said you two just found it in the middle of nowhere?" Izuku said, "We did find it in the middle of nowhere. There was an abandoned gas station and there it was, which I said, 'Looks neat, I'm taking this.' Fallout 4 reference maybe?" Izuku and Dabi were never tell the truth of how they got it, which no one would believe them anyways. Eri and Gon gone up to him to say how cool his fighting styles were and asked many questions about it. Izuku just laughed to say, "When you two get older I will teach you about boxing, Wing Chun, and other martial arts fighting styles." "Sounds good." The two nodded, which he said, "Okay, you two got to get ice for my hands." Dabi brought a bag of ice and a bowl to put them, which Izuku took off his gloves to reveal his bloody and almost broken knuckles. Everyone looked at his knuckles and thought how he was keeping a smile on his face, which Izuku laughed. "If I haven't trained myself so hard, I would be in pain and not be throwing this party." Then Izuku's men came up with a something covered in a blanket, which Gary said, "We heard your idea of making a WWE-like belt with the words, 'The Champion of the Quirkless,' which this is a gift from all of us. For giving us jobs, to help us find purpose, and to show us we are something in this world." Izuku said, "You guys, thank you for the belt." Izuku got the belt on the say, "I will wear this around proudly." Izuku got back to his chair to continue to ice his hands, which he thought, "I wonder how Mirio is doing?" The hospital. Mirio woke up in extreme pain, which he looked to Sir Night-Eye, which he said, "Oh, thank God, you're still alive." Mirio looked, "How is All Might?" Sir said, "He is going through extreme surgery to fix his broken ribs and internal bleeding. But you had some broken ribs, head trauma, heartbeat skipping for a while which are now gone and had some internal bleeding as well. You two were lucky that he wasn't a murderer because he could have killed you both. Mirio asked, when do I get out? Sir said, you will be here for a week, but not on hero duty for 3 weeks after you get out. Mirio sighed, that is a while until I get back out there. I thought he was quirkless, but he moved so fast and his punches were so powerful. Aizawa said, he is quirkless. The two looked at him which Sir said, what did he do to Mirio? It is something I have never seen before. Aizawa said, he used an ancient Chinese martial arts style called Wing Chun, which no one has practiced since the rise of quirks. Sir asked, he is a MSTR in ancient quirkless fighting styles, how do you know about this? Aizawa pulled out an old DVD from before quirks came to the world which revealed a movie titled Ip Man, which after they watched it, they saw Izuku use the same moves as the main character, Ip Man Yip Man. Mirio asked, he had to learn this from someone, where did he learn the technique? Aizawa said, there was a rumor for a long time that there is a man in the underworld knows about the fight style, but I never believe in them. But seeing Mr. Midoriya, I'm going to find the person who taught him. Sir asked, how are you going to find him? Aizawa said, well, there is the long way of looking in underground fighting ring or the short way. Mirio asked, what is the short way? Aizawa sighed, we find Mr. Midoriya and we get him to talk about it. The two looked at him and already hated the short way which they weren't going to find Izuku because he was on a high from beating the sheet out of all might and exposing his secret on TV. Izuku did the one thing that they worked so hard to prevent and just told everyone like it was no big secret. Which they decided to take the long way, but if Izuku spills the beans then they will take the short way. Izuku's party. Everyone was having a great time which Sensei said, I haven't seen Wing Chun is about 2 centuries and seeing you do it amazes me. Tell me, where did you learn it from? Tamura said, yeah, let us I want to know. Kai said, I agree as well. Everyone wanted to know which Izuku said, it was on one of my adventures with Dabi before I worked for you, Kai and Sensei. Back when I was living my 6th month in the underworld, which I was still learning the ups and downs fully. 6 months into the underworld. Izuku was practicing on a punching bag with his boxing coach that he has met a month ago. Izuku calls him Coach, which coach has been teaching him boxing to help Izuku in the rings. Izuku was a quick learner with the fighting style which he was getting stronger and faster which coach asks, why do you come to this place? Izuku asked, what do you mean? Coach was a Chinese man in his early 50s with a white hair and old blue eyes. He was still well built despite his age. Coach asks, why do you, a 13-year-old teen, come to these underground fighting rings? Izuku smiles, I want to become stronger. Coach asks, you can go to a gym or take lessons from a dojo, but why here? Izuku said, there are things you can only learn for places like this. I want to become stronger to prove the world wrong. Coach asks, what is the world wrong about? Izuku's face was a sadden, that my kind is weak, useless, and a waste. I want to prove that we aren't weak, are not a waste, and we have every right to have a happy life like everyone else. Dabi came in to say, hey Izuku. Izuku said, hey Dabi. Coach smiled, you know Izuku, I have a cousin who is looking for someone like you. Izuku asks, what would he want with a person like me? Coach chuckled, he wants a student to teach his fighting style to before he dies, will you accept? Izuku grinned, of course coach. Coach said, he lives at Mount Fuji which I hope your mom doesn't mind you leaving for 2 weeks. Izuku said, I have an idea on how to get the okay. Next day. Izuku came with a few bags which his mom has always been a little overprotective and overprepared him on trips. Izuku said, okay let's get going. Izuku, Coach, and Dabi were now on a trip to the mountain which Dabi came because he had nothing better to do and he wanted to check the mountain out. Izuku met with the cousin which Izuku would refer to him as Sensei Chang. Sensei Chang in just 1 hour gave Izuku the name Guren Monkey, meaning green monkey, which Izuku did act like a monkey with his jokes. Sensei Chang believed his cousin did rub off on Izuku but Izuku was relaxed and focused to his liking. Wing Chun required a certain level of a relaxed body and focus, which Sensei Chang did like Izuku because of his willingness to learn, his reasons for learning to get stronger, and Izuku was a good kid. Dabi was taking pictures of the mountain to one day show his mom and watch as Izuku was getting better. After the first week, Izuku went from a wooden training dummy to a rock one, which Izuku could feel himself getting stronger. Izuku learned not only the fighting style from Sensei Chang but also about nature, philosophy, and inner peace. Izuku was very interested in the inner peace subject, which Sensei Chang said, the only way for you to fully reach true strength and inner peace is to let go of your anger. I sense a lot of anger from you against people, which when you do, you will find inner peace. Izuku said, I will find a way to let my anger go one day, Sensei Chang, but right now, I will keep it for a little bit. Sensei Chang bonked Izuku's head with his cane to say, you must let it go to find inner peace, Guren monkey. Izuku said, I will, but I don't feel ready to find inner peace yet. I got things I want to do before then. Sensei Chang signed, you're right, you are still young and full of life, but I must ask you something, Guren monkey. Izuku looked at him, yes, Sensei Chang. Sensei Chang asked, will you use this to kill? Izuku quickly to say, no way. I don't want to kill anyone. Sensei Chang asked, even if they deserved it, even if they are pure evil? Izuku said, I will never use this to kill anyone. I believe that killing isn't the last opinion for anyone. Sensei Chang smiled, I truly have someone here who I can teach my final lesson to. Izuku leaned closer for Sensei Chang to reveal the last lesson to him, which Sensei Chang said, the secret to everything is not harmony, inner peace, or emptiness. It is becoming one with your mind, soul, body, and universe. Izuku leaned back to say, well, that is definitely something that I have to think about for a long time. Sensei Chang and Izuku laughed for a while until Sensei Chang vanished into thin air, leaving his clothes, which Izuku in shock. Coach and Dabi went up to check on the two, which Coach asked, where is Chang? Izuku said, I don't know how he did it, but he got taken away by Thanos' snap. Coach said, oh, he does that with people because of his warping quirk. Izuku looked at Coach, what? Sensei Chang appeared behind Coach and Dabi to say, got ya beach. Everyone laughed their butts off from this, which concluded the 2-week-long training. Present. Dabi said, oh look, Coach is here. Coach say, hey Guren monkey. Izuku said, hey now, Sensei Chang is the only person who can call me that. Coach said, well, you did put on a good show out there today. Everyone looked at Coach, which Miss Midoriya asked, wait, that field trip to Mount Fuji wasn't a school trip? Izuku with wide eyes, oops, I forgot about that part. Everyone had a good laugh, which Sensei asked, since you beat All Might, what are you going to do now? Izuku chuckled, same thing as I've always been doing. Going around and causing trouble wherever I go. They continued to party and Izuku was with his girls, which he still refused to let Kai, Sensei, or Eri to heal him because he believes that this injury wasn't enough for them to waste their energy on. Which Izuku will think about his pranks on UA that will screw with the teachers, students, and most importantly Nizu. 2 days later at UA, Izuku stood outside the gates of UA and thought to himself, first stop Aizawa's office. Izuku walked through the gates with a device that jammed any electronic device 20 feet near him. The alarms didn't activate, which Izuku laughed his butt off. Izuku went to Aizawa in his office sleeping in his sleeping bag, which Izuku pulled out a permanent maker to draw whiskers on his face and made his nose completely black. Izuku then drew a PP on his forehead for go measure because he wanted to see how long before someone will tell him about his face. Izuku then looked at Midnight looking a little bored in her art class, which she was about to start class, which Izuku made the biggest grin in his life. Midnight started her class, which this class was filled with girls and no boys, which she was bored by it. She got up to say, today class we are going to. Izuku came through the door wearing nothing but towel covering his 9 inches of tricks to say, have no fear. Why? Because your ND model is here. The students were in shock, which Midnight smiled very big and said, you heard the man, this is our ND model and we are going to draw him. One of the students asked, isn't this illegal? Izuku said, here is every reason why this is legal. The age of consent is 13, I'm giving consent, and this is art. Midnight asked, Can you get on the stand and pose for us? Izuku got on the stand then posed, remember the flexing pose All Might did in the movie, which Izuku said, after this midnight, we should pose together like SLV and STU, or which I will be okay with a dog collar. As soon as Izuku said that Vlad King was at the door to give Midnight something, but he was too traumatized to go in the room and he walked away and said, "This is a bad dream." Nizu was walking down the hall when he saw Vlad walking away from Midnight's classroom, which Nizu went to check what Midnight was doing. Nizu walked in to see Izuku posing wearing nothing but a towel while Midnight and her students started drawing him. Nizu in shock. "Mr. Midoriya, how did you get in?" Izuku smirked. "Through the front door, how else?" Nizu looked at Midnight. "Why are you not capturing him?" Midnight said, "Come on, he isn't doing anything illegal and he came in to help my class with our assignment." Nizu looked at Izuku's tattoos which on his right arm had the words, "Power," and "Havoc," with a Joker card. The left arm had heart on it, a stack of $100 bills and the words, "Order." On his chest it had the words, "Civis seditiosus et turbulentus," which Nizu knew meant anarchist, in Latin, and on his back had a green monkey with red flaming eyes. Izuku chuckled, "Like my tattoos, Nizu?" Nizu looked at him. "You indeed have interesting taste, Mr. Midoriya." Izuku said, "Please stop with Mr. Midoriya, that was my deadbeat dad, call me Izuku." Nizu asked, "Okay Izuku, why are you here?" Izuku smiled, "I'm here to cause some havoc, but not enough to destroy anything but enough to F with people." Nizu said, "I'm giving you 5 minutes to run." Midnight took some pictures for her class to finish the assignment with and Izuku said, "Okay, let me just give Aizawa's class some notes to help them improve because I am the best quirk analyst in the underworld." Nizu knew Izuku was pushing him to letting him stay a little bit longer, which side, "Fine, 10 minutes, then we are calling the police and our teachers will arrest you." Izuku jumped up in the air in joy, which when Nizu left his towel came off, which everyone in the room had nosebleeds, which Izuku said, "Well, time for my next prank." Izuku left the classroom naked, which the students in the hallway was either scarred for life or the girls had nosebleeds from Izuku's 9 inches of tricks. Izuku just smiled as he passed by everyone to grab his suit and got it back on, then he went to classroom 1A. He opened the door to see Aizawa still had what Izuku drew on him in his face. Aizawa was set off beyond belief to see him, which Izuku dropped off his quirk analysis off, which he looked at Bakugo to say, "Hello Bakugo." Bakugo charged at him, which Aizawa stopped him because Izuku can kill Bakugo if he wanted to, which as Izuku left he heard Aizawa asked, "Where did you learn Wing Chun?" Izuku looked at him, "I don't know Mr. Whiskers, I just happened to wake up and I know how to do it." Izuku looked at Power Loader's class and smiled. He came in the class to say, "Okay class, who wanted to look at my suit that makes me take All Might's strongest punch up to 5 times? Everyone stopped what they were doing to look at Izuku's suit, but he wasn't going to take it off. Power Loader couldn't tell if this was a dream or was this a prank Nizu was pulling. Izuku then said, "Okay, I have 2 minutes left before the police arrive to arrest me. I got one thing I know I'm going to do." 2 minutes passed, which the teachers were looking for Izuku, which they looked around to hear a car start. They looked outside to find Izuku driving away in Aizawa's car while the rest of their cars had their tires taken off and slashed. Izuku drove off to yelled, "Have a nice motherfucking day." Aizawa thought to himself, "I can't believe he just stole my car." The teachers were said that he just made them buy 4 new tires for their cars, which later that night Aizawa came home and right when he closed his door to his apartment, his car came out of a warp portal to land on his couch and coffee table. Aizawa looked at his car to read the note on it reading, "That was for thinking I had a quirk at the USJ and it's out of gas, just letting you know. Be careful what you get into." Today is the day where Izuku learns valuable lessons and something new. Let's get down to business. Izuku was on the dinner table doing his bills and accounting until the news came on, which talked about how he walked in with ease and what he did. "Inko, Miss Midoriya?" asked, "Izuku, why did you do that to those teachers' cars?" Izuku said, "Because I thought it would be funny." Melissa and Kyoka came in to look at Izuku, which Izuku felt like he was in danger. He looked up to ask, "How was your day?" Melissa said, "I don't know, how was your day?" Izuku shivered, "It was fun, how about you Kyoka?" Kyoka looked at Izuku, I don't know, is it a little hot here for your clothes? Izuku now knew that they were said about him being a NDE model for Midnight's art class, which he quickly texted Kurogiri, help me. Help me. Help me. Please. Izuku said, I can explain. Izuku looked behind him to smile, well speaking of bad timing, I got business to take care of. Gon, can you finish my bills for me? Gon came over to do the bills which Izuku quickly jumped portal which he said, thank you Kurogiri, I own you one. Kurogiri nodded which Izuku got on the bar stool to say, I would like a screwdriver and a godfather to clear my mind. Kurogiri said, you are 15, you shouldn't be drinking. Izuku said, I'm a villain that beat up All Might and his successor, I should have the right to a drink. I'll pay you double if it makes you happy. Kurogiri asked, what will your mother think? Izuku said, if I don't get caught, then there is no problem. Tamura came in to say, come on Kurogiri, let him have a drink. Kurogiri sighed to start making Izuku's drinks which Izuku said, thank you Tamura. Izuku looked at Tamura who was wearing a business suit like sensei except he still has the hands on his face and shoulders, which Izuku asked, man Tamura, you have started to get great taste in clothing. Tamura said, yeah, I saw how sensei wore suits all the time in his fights which I thought maybe I should start dressing up like him to gain more respect. Izuku said, well it's working because Kurogiri wasn't going to get me a drink until you came. Tamura chuckled which Izuku got both of his drinks which Tamura got his drinks which the two were getting a little tipsy after a few more drinks. Izuku may be a little drunk but he can still detect that Toga was going to jump him. Izuku grabbed her arm from stabbing him. He turned around to throw her a few feet away which he asked, Toga burp, why do you keep trying? Toga giggled, I want your blood, I saw your blood at the party which is the first time I saw you bleed. I want to see more of your blood. Toga got up to charge at him again which Izuku grabbed her knife from her hand and broke the blade from the handle. Izuku threw the knife to the side which Toga pulled out another knife which Izuku still hasn't moved from his seat. Toga got jumped on him which Izuku kicked her off to jump on her to disarm her to say, sorry, better luck next time. Izuku walked out the door to walk around the city at night which he was a little drunk, but he was going to have some fun. He walked until he found Dabi, Twice, Compress, and Spinner in Spinner's van which Izuku said, hey guys. The four looked at him which Spinner was hiding something which Dabi said, don't scare us like that. Izuku chuckled, sorry guys, what you guys up to? Dabi, Compress, and Spinner said, nothing. Twice said, we are getting high as F-. The three looked at Twice which Izuku said, pass the weed. Which they shrugged which the group of five were in Spinner's van getting high as F-. Which Spinner giggled, guys, who knew what time it was when the first clock was made? Dabi chuckled, is the S or C silent in scent? Compress grinned, do you think sand is called sand because it's between land and sea? Twice asked, if money is the root of all evil, then why do churches ask for it? Izuku chuckled, why do our noses run and our feet smell? The guys looked at each other which Izuku said, we are too woke for this world. Dabi said, yeah man, what if this was a fanfic about an anime? Which the author of this world just made this so other people can enjoy this world like he is. Spinner said, bro, I'm tripping ball right now, I can see the answers to the universe. Twice asked, what are the answers? Spinner stared into space, 42, just 42. Compress said, I'm starting to get the answer to entral happiness, now it's gone. The five were super baked until someone banged on the window which Izuku yelled, scatter. The person who banged on the window was Mustard which the guys jumped out of the van and scattered in different directions. Mustard was knocked down by Twice which Spinner tripped a few times while running away, Dabi was running in zigzags, Compress was climbing over fences while yelling, I'm not going back. Izuku was running down alleys which now he was drunk and high as a kite, until he stopped at a pizza shop which he said, I guess it time to satisfy the munchies. Izuku walked in which he got up the register to say, I would like a pizza. The person behind the register asked, what kind of toppings? Izuku stared at the menu to say, yes. The person looked at the back to say, Stoner special. He looked back at Izuku to ask, anything else? Izuku said, I would like a 2-liter cola. The person asked, anything else? Izuku said, good. Izuku overpaid the person to take a seat with his 2-liter drink, which Izuku looked at his drink to look at the ingredients on the bottle. The pizza came to Izuku, which he engulfs it and chugged his drink, which he went back up to get some garlic bread. After eating the garlic bread, he went out to continue his adventure stoned and drunk. He continues down the street until he saw Midnight, which she was said about her car. Izuku said, hey there stranger. Midnight said in her radio, little Shota has appeared, I'm going to need some. She looked at him as he walked like he was drunk and high at the same time, which she said in her radio, I don't think I need backup, but let me check. She looked at Izuku, okay, how many of Midnights do you see? Izuku looked at her, 3? Wait, I just realize if 2 vegans get in a fight, is it still considered beef? Midnight pulled up her radio, the Anarchist is drunk and stoned. Aizawa jumped down from the building to see the situation. He looked at Izuku to say, I believe it's safe to say that we can capture him with ease. Midnight said, I feel so dirty for taking advantage of this drunk and stoned Shota. It turns me on. Aizawa looked at her in disgust, which Izuku giggled. Am I going to be a part of my fantasyism like I always dream of? Aizawa was going to get some therapy after this, because this was something he didn't want to imagine, and he was now imagining it. Aizawa came closer to grab Izuku, but Izuku swung his arms around like a drunk, but something was unusual about his movements. Aizawa grabbed Izuku, which Izuku grabbed him to throw him into a dumpster. Aizawa asked, wait, are you using Drunken Fist? Izuku giggled, perhaps. Aizawa said, but Drunken Fist is to pretend you're drunk, not to actually be drunk. Izuku smiled, does it truly matter? Midnight whipped Izuku's back, which he yelled, harder mama. Midnight and Aizawa stopped at that moment, which Izuku dropped a smoke grenade to then run away to escape them. Izuku was still running around the streets trying to escape until Kurogiri warped his but home. Izuku ran into the door, which his mom, Melissa, and Kyoka got up to check if he was okay. Izuku got up to say, I'm good. He sat down to try to listen to what they had to say, but his mind was focused on something else entirely, which Kyoka looked at his red eyes. Kyoka asked, how high are you? The girls looked at Kyoka, which Izuku said, no Kyoka, it's, hi, how are you? They then knew that he was stoned, which Inko asked, where did you go? Izuku smiled, I went on this alien ship, which me and the guys were abducted by these aliens that were in the middle of giving us the keys to universe until some weirdo with a gas mask knocked on our window, which the aliens told us to run away. Tonight has been one crazy night. First I get a few drinks with a Tamura in a suit at the bar, then went to smoke a plant with the boys, then abducted by aliens with the boys, then fought Eraserhead and Midnight alone, then ended up here. Inko said, I think you should sleep and we will talk about this tomorrow. Izuku hugged his mom to say, okay, night-night mommy. Melissa and Kyoka giggled a little bit, which Izuku slapped both of their buttes to say, I can't wait to see you two tomorrow in my bed. Inko was in shock that her son pulled that sheet in front of her while Melissa and Kyoka were red in embarrassment from the comment. Izuku asked, do we tell the truth if we are lying in bed? The girls started laughing their buttes off from that comment, which Inko said, I know what I should do to prank Izuku. I need you two to go along with me on this one. And Gon, I need you too. Gon asked, what are you going to do? Inko said, I'm calling all for one. The next morning, Izuku got up with a headache, which he got up to make himself some breakfast until he heard laughter in the living room. He headed on over to check it out, which he saw Sensei, his mom, Melissa, Gon, and Kyoka, which Izuku groaned. I have 2 questions to ask. What happened last night and why is Sensei here? Sensei said, well, I saw that you and Tamura got drunk, which you left to get high with Dabi, Compress, Spinner, and Twice. Then you ran around to fight both Eraserhead and Midnight and escaped. Izuku said, thank you, Sensei, but that is only one question. Inko said, I have been meaning to tell you, Izuku. She and Sensei held hands, which she said, we have been going out for a while now and we believe we should tell you that. Izuku fainted right on the spot, which Izuku was muttering about how Sensei was going to be his stepdad, Tamura will be his stepbrother, and his mother going out with Sensei. Which they went to check with him, which he got up to say, give me a minute to process this, I'm beyond confused. Izuku washed some water on his face to ask, am I still high? He wasn't high at all, which he was thinking my died and was resurrected into an alternate universe. Everyone laughed their butts off, which Inko said, we are just joking with you, Izuku. Izuku said, oh, you scared me for a moment. I didn't think that you would start getting back out there. Sensei laughed, you had seen your face, it was a great prank. Izuku said, okay, I learned my lesson and I will calm it down on my pranks. That was a good prank, Mom. Everyone laughed until Sensei said, actually we are serious. Izuku, Gon, Melissa, and Kyoka kept laughing, which Izuku said, stop it, I already had one heart attack already. Inko said, no, we are serious. The four stopped and looked at the two, which Izuku could see how serious they were, which Izuku in shock. Hold up. Cutting back? Izuku's mom is dating all for one. How does think about this? Izuku said he will tone it down on his pranks, but will he truly do? Izuku starts getting into a new business because of yesterday, which him and the guys will now figure out what to call their shop. Let's get into it. Izuku sat down to take a deep breath to then say, as Kane West once said, how sway? Sensei said, well, you know those 4 weeks we went into hiding. Izuku said, yeah. Inko said, you remember you would be gone for 4 days at a time, then come back for a day off, then continue. Izuku said, yeah. Sensei asked, do you remember when I asked where you put the file of Ragdoll? Izuku said, oh, that long ago. Inko said, I'm surprised you are taking this better than I expected. Izuku said, well, Mom, I didn't expect you to get back out there and finding someone. I kind of thought you weren't going to get in a relationship because of Dad. But I'm happy that you finally found someone. Sensei ached, even if it's me? Izuku chuckled, Sensei, I already saw you as a father figure and I have called you Dad a few times. I'm glad you aren't in that dark room alone all the time and you have an actually life outside of villainy. Everyone was relaxed, which Inko said, this actually went great, but Izuku, calm it down on the pranks and you are grounded for getting drunk. Izuku looked at her, what? Inko said, no pranks on anybody for the next week. Izuku said, okay, Mom, but what am I supposed to do with my free time? Sensei said, why not look into other businesses and expand your knowledge like a normal person? Izuku sighed, yes. Dad. Inko said, I won't go that far. Sensei said, I'm still trying to get used to being called Dad. Izuku said, too late, I'm calling you Dad. Izuku looked at his watch to say, well, time to take my goddaughter to the park, I will see you two later. Izuku quickly jumped into a portal to get to Eri, which he was having a weird day, but he doesn't regret getting high. Izuku thought about what Sensei said while Eri was playing. He was thinking about another business to get into. Izuku then thought about the nearest location to get weed is about 10 miles away, which Izuku remembered that there were 20 warehouses next to his warehouses for sale. After taking Eri home, he quickly made some calls, which he laughed as he got a new project he was working on. Izuku then called up Dabi, Spinner, Compress, and Twice to come to his warehouse at noon. When they arrived, Izuku had a slideshow presentation ready for them, which Izuku said, okay, Dabi, Iguchi, Atsuhiro, and Jean, come have a seat. They sat down, which Izuku started with, how far is the closest weed shop? Dabi quickly responded, 10 miles, why? Izuku said, I bought the 20 warehouses next to my warehouses and enough supplies for our shop. The slide changed reading Midoriya's Midori, which Izuku said, I'm going to open our own weed shop and use those 20 warehouses as our weed farm. The four got up to cheer for this idea because it was genius and they were going to be a part of this. Izuku then showed his business strategy, growth in business over the next 10 years, and their supply in the next 3 months, which Atsuhiro asked, how big are these warehouses? Izuku said, every warehouse I own is the size of a football field, American. Imagine 20 football fields of weed. They looked in awe, which Iguchi asked, when will you start growing? Izuku said, I bought the seeds and we have started just an hour ago to make the warehouses to be able to grow it. Izuku guided the four to show that Izuku's grunts were bring in soil, gardening beds for the soil and plants to be grown in, and the special lights for the plants. Jean teared up a little bit because it was going to be appealing, which when they head back to Izuku's personal warehouse, which he said, Atsuhiro, since your secret identify isn't exposed unlike the rest of us. I'm going to give you money to buy a building to sell this and the license to sell this. He nodded, which Izuku said, we are going to make some money and get high at the same time. Dabi asked, wait, are we supposed to not get high on our own supply? Izuku sighed, well, do you want to go 10 miles for someone else? Dabi said, you're right for that rule. Which when they were done and hyped about Izuku's weed operation, Izuku said, I need to find more warehouses to expand to other businesses because I completely bought out the warehouses in this place. Izuku sat down to get the finances in order and looked for more warehouses for sale, which he looked at his car collection as well. Izuku looked at his Telsa Roadster, his Firebird, and his Corvette to say, I'm going to start spending money from my Bahamas accounts because my Jamaican and my Japanese accounts is getting low. Izuku had bank accounts from all across the world which he would constantly fill, but when they get to a certain point, he starts spending money to not raise any alarms. Izuku has 2 Japanese accounts, 3 in Jamaica, and 5 in the Bahamas, which Izuku made a lot more bank than most people think. Izuku actually has stock from Microsoft, Apple, Critecoin, and Nikkei, which add that to his firearms business, supervising quirk erasing bullets, his quirk analysis, SLV valuing, bank robbing, other villain things, and now weed business. It was safe to assume that he always has money on hand, which his mom knows about his Japanese accounts, but not the rest. Izuku looked at a Rolls-Royce black badge, which he said, I'm buying that. Izuku spent his money on it, which he can come by to pick it up. Izuku got on his business suit and brought a few weapons for just in case. He wasn't causing any pranks on heroes, he was going to pick up a car that he bought, and if a hero attacks him, then it's self-defense. Izuku knew how to break and bend the rules, which he called Kurogiri, to warp him to the dealership for him to pick it up. When Izuku got there, he signed a few papers, then drove off in his brand new car, and on the way some old lady was crossing the road, which he stopped, but someone rear-ended him. Izuku was now set off. He got out his insurance card and license, which he got out of the car to look at who hit him. His eyes were wide that Sir Night Eye rear-ended, which Sir looked back at him in shock, which Izuku yelled, You be! I just bought this car like 10 minutes ago, what the F dash? Sir yelled, You are the B. You nearly killed Mirio and Yagi. If anything, you deserve to get your new car rear-ended. Izuku and Sir started throwing punches at each other because no one was around to stop them. It turned out the old lady that was crossing the road was Recovery Girl, which hit both their heads with her cane, which they stopped to look at her. Recovery Girl said, That's enough from you two. I was enjoying my walk and then you two are ruining it. Izuku said, This PP sucker rear-ended my brand new Rolls-Royce, I want to kill him. Sir said, I was on my way to get my brakes repaired in the first place, but this villain here nearly killed All Might and his successor. Izuku said, I wasn't going to kill them, I only want to ruin and break All Might for destroying my dream. What I did to him make me and him even. Mirio was nothing more than bait to get All Might to fight me. Just before they attacked each other again, Recovery Girl said, Okay, you two, I'm going to say this once. Mr. Midoriya, go home, and I won't report you were here. Sir Night Eye, go home to go get some rest. Pretend this never happened, pretend that you haven't seen each other all week, and don't go chasing after each other. If you two don't, I won't think twice about beating the shit out of both of you two. They felt Recovery Girl's rage, which the two got in their cars and drove away like nothing happened. Which Izuku got back and parked his car in the workshop to say, Before you ask, Sir Night Eye rear-ended me on the way over here. His grunts felt the anger coming off Izuku, which they went to work on fixing the car while Izuku planned on making a prank or attack on Sir Night Eye's building. Izuku was going to avenge his car and was tired of Sir's bullshit, so this plan was going to get even. Izuku then got hungry, which he looked at Deadbeat to say, Go get me a pizza. Deadbeat run off to get Izuku, which he heard, Out of all the things you can make it do, you make it go get you a pizza. Izuku looked over to see Kai, which Izuku smiled. Hey Kai, you need me to do something? Kai said, I came to check on you, you looked a little stressed right now. You want to talk about it? Izuku told Kai about the car accident, which he chuckled. Recovery Girl scared you off? Izuku said, I'm not afraid to beat up a female hero, but I'm not hitting mothers and old ladies. I have standards, for old men if they are heroes like Gran Torino. I would make sure he stays retired. The two looked at each other, which Kai asked, You want to go to the underground to fight out your anger? Izuku said, I got time, let's do this. Underground fighting ring. Izuku just took down his fifth opponent with his bare hands and he was super happy at the moment. It's been a while. Since he had a good underground fight, he had Kai betting for him and coach with towels and other stuff. Izuku stood over his lately opponent then yelled, Who's next? A man appeared in the ring. He had the gray hair and a lot of it which Izuku asked, You're looking a little luck. What is your name? The man said, Shinya. Izuku looked at him to say, Well Shinya, I may be tired, but I still can kick some butt. Izuku got into a fighting position which then Shinya turned into a needle to get into Izuku which Izuku somehow grabbed him. Shinya thickness his head to ask, How? Izuku chuckled, Trust me edge shot, I've known the secrets of everyone I see interesting and their quirks. When I saw you enter the ring, I knew who you were and your quirk, which I have to say that you have a great quirk, but there is one flaw. Izuku started squeezing Shinya which Izuku said, It's easier to strangle and knock you out this way. Shinya was struggling to get out, but he was already at his thinnest and Izuku wasn't letting go which Shinya passed out. Izuku threw him to the side to yell, The heroes are coming. Everyone started running which Izuku, Coach, and Kai ran out to escape the heroes and police coming in, which when they were in the clear Coach went home, while Kai and Izuku walked home to Kai's hideout. Izuku sat in the chair across from Kai's chair to discuss the second factory's production and what new technology Izuku is making. Kai asked, Come on between you and me, where did you get that power armor? Izuku said, All right between you and me. Izuku leaned closer to say, Aliens. Kai looked at him, Are you high? Izuku started laughing, Of course not, we actually found it in a warehouse outside the city in the wilderness. But the warehouse belongs to the government and we burned it to the ground trying to get it. Then Izuku got a call from Dabi which Izuku said, Give me a moment. Izuku picked up the phone which Dabi said, Meet me at your torture warehouse. Izuku asked, You mean Cybus? Dabi said, Yes, come on over. Izuku said, I'll get there when I get there. Izuku hung up to say, Sorry about that, I'm going back to the warehouses to see what's going on. Kai nodded which Izuku texted Kurogiri to warp him, which Izuku walked through. Izuku said, Okay Dabi what is? Izuku saw Shoto Todoroki on the chair chained up and Dabi standing next to him. Izuku asked, What happened? Dabi said, I found walking around near here and I knocked him out. Izuku said, Dabi, that is your little brother. Dabi said, I know and I feeling bad about it. Izuku said, Calm down, we can figure this out. Why not show him too and what you did to Endeavor, which hopefully he might join us. Dabi said, I think that might work. Izuku said, Have a talk with your brother and do big brother stuff with him, get him to know you. He misses you, your family misses you, and I think you catch up with them. Dabi nodded and Izuku left him to talk to Shoto and hopefully get him to join.